Chapter 3991. She had shed all pretense of cordiality. However, she wasn't sure, so she didn't tell Martial God Wen Tian about it. Instead, she finally confirmed it with Martial God Wen Tian's death. The reason being that it was impossible for a first-layer Martial God Realm Jr. to destroy the Martial God Realm twice in a row. Besides, he also had a few dantians and various magical moves. Apart from Li Xiaoyao, no one else in the world could possibly do it. It's good that you're back. After so many years, I can let go of anyone, but I can't let go of you. I've been going back to the little valley every year to find the time that had passed. Come back to me, how about it? Tian Lioli smiled. Her calm words caused the hearts of the experts behind her to tremble. They never expected the domineering Luli Empress to have a man she liked. Who was that man? Why did Tian Lioli value him so much? Tian Lioli was the best among the trial takers. In this world, there were at least 10 billion men who wanted to catch her eye. However, who was able to successfully catch the Empress's eye? Not for now. Hearing this, Lin Ling smiled, but shook his head. He knew very well that the current Empress-colored glaze was no longer the Tian Lioli of the past. She only had one goal now, and that was to become stronger. Therefore, she wanted to obtain the Primal Chaos Divine Formula, and she wanted to control him, Lin Ling. Why? Tian Lioli's brows furrowed slightly. That look actually had a hint of cuteness and playfulness. Of course, this was only from Lin Ling's perspective. In the eyes of others, the Empress was still the Empress. The reason why Lin Ling had such a misconception was because her furrowed brows reminded him of the past. You know that I don't like to be tied down. I'm not used to being your servant. Lin Ling shrugged. Those who didn't know better would think that he and Tian Lioli were lovers and not enemies. I see, I can be your woman behind the scenes. Tian Lioli threw out a huge bait. Currently, she was Luli Empress, an extremely famous figure in the world. She would retreat behind the scenes and give up her position to Lin Ling. This was probably the dream of any man. Moreover, Tian Lioli was such a beauty. How many men could reject her? You should know that I don't like this either. I like to rely on myself for everything. However, Lin Ling smiled and rejected her again. Although this was indeed a great temptation that would save Lin Ling a lot of hard work and allow him to reach the top in a single bound, he knew that this was also a trap. You're still blaming me. Seeing Lin Ling's repeated rejections, Tian Lioli's brows furrowed once again. Her eyes were filled with a lovely and moving light. Looking at her, Lin Ling sighed inwardly. Tian Lioli's current appearance was the same as before, pure and clean. However, the mirror was broken. No matter how well it was repaired, the crack would still exist. There would never be a moment when it could be repaired. Tian Lioli, for some things, once is enough for you to make a mistake. Lin Ling smiled and said in a carefree manner. However, his words made Tian Lioli's heart tremble. She kept thinking about those words. For some things, one mistake was enough. What he meant was that since Li Xiaoyao made a mistake back then, he wouldn't make the same mistake a second time. For some reason, this sentence made Tian Lioli's heart ache. It was as if she had lost something. All right, I have something to do. Goodbye. Ignoring Tian Lioli's constantly changing expression, Lin Ling cupped his fists and bowed as if he was facing a stranger. Then, he turned and left. That heartless look undoubtedly stabbed Tian Lioli's heart. At some point, she even felt regret. She shouldn't have done that back then. Because by doing so, she had obtained everything, but lost this man. However, was she really going to let that man go? Her eyes suddenly flickered and a trace of viciousness filled the air. Because that was obviously impossible. Based on her familiarity with Li Xiaoyao, she knew that Li Xiaoyao returned with only one goal. It was to end the grudge from all those years ago. Now that her brother and father were dead, she was next. Therefore, if she let Lin Ling go, she would be releasing a tiger back to the mountain. More than that, she finally made her move. Thousands of years of ties, to her, were nothing more than fleeting clouds. You can't leave. Tian Liuli transformed into a ray of light and shot out. Her speed was several times faster than Lin Ling's. With her capabilities, catching Lin Ling wasn't difficult at all. Tian Liuli's shout made Lin Ling stop in his tracks. He narrowed his eyes. He knew that based on Tian Liuli's personality, she wouldn't let him go. Because she was someone who didn't look out for herself. Young master. At this moment, when the surrounding dragon demons saw Tian Liuli attacking Lin Ling, they all roared and rushed towards Tian Liuli like a tide, intending to block Tian Liuli for Lin Ling. Moonlight divine light. However, just as these dragon demons moved, a terrifying glazed light shot out from Tian Liuli's body. Ka ka ka. A large number of dragon demons turned into glazed jade and then exploded, turning into dust and disappearing. Facing the strength of the Empress, they were as weak as dust. Tian Liuli. Lin Ling roared and his eyes were bloodshot. The dragon demons were dead. These dragon demons were brought out by him from the rainbow world. They had always been protecting Lin Ling, helping Lin Ling escape from life and death situations time and time again. But now, that heartless woman was killing them as if they were chickens. Pain. Lin Ling's heart was in incomparable pain. Brother Xiaoyao, it's better for you to stay by my side. At this moment, Tian Liuli was still rushing towards Lin Ling, her eyes emotionless and her expression incomparably domineering. Everyone, retreat immediately. Lin Ling ignored Tian Liuli and suddenly roared. Enter the void passage and destroy it. At the same time, he instructed the remaining dragon demons to destroy the void passage. This way, they could cut off the retreat. Young master, we're not leaving. However, all the dragon demons refused because they sensed that the young master seemed to want to use them as bait to stop that expert. Go, this is an order. Lin Ling was already very close to the void passage, but at this moment, he also gave up on surviving and flew towards Tian Liuli. Since you're here, why leave? Tian Liuli was indeed very shrewd. Although she didn't know what Lin Ling wanted to do, she knew that Li Xiaoyao was very loyal. As long as she threatened these dragon demons, Li Xiaoyao's heart would definitely soften. Rumble. Therefore, she attacked again. Endless divine light spewed out, turning a large number of dragon demons into dust, including 2 black gold demons. Seeing his comrades die one after another, Lin Ling's eyes seemed to drip blood. His voice was as cold as the 9 hells. Bitch! He pounced towards Tian Liuli even faster, causing Tian Liuli to finally give up on the other dragon demons. The look in her eyes as she looked at Lin Ling quietly became complicated. Brother Xiaoyao, come with me. Chapter 3992. Release. Bang. Lin Ling finally arrived in front of her. His eyes were also staring coldly at her. That murderous aura seemed to have materialized, causing the void to hum. Tian Liuli, one day, I will kill you. This vow, unless the heavens fall and the earth shatters, will never change. Lin Ling slowly walked forward, pausing between each word as he spoke. With Lin Ling blocking them, a large number of dragon demons also rushed in from the other side of the void tunnel. Their faces were filled with worry, but they also secretly followed Lin Ling's instructions and frantically destroyed the void tunnel. Although they didn't know what Lin Ling's goal was, in the face of an expert like Luli Empress, the only thing they could do was to listen to Lin Ling. Tian Liuli's gaze was still fixed on Lin Ling, but her small white hand gently pointed, intending to kill all the dragon demons. Whoosh! However, Lin Ling had already expected this. Just as Tian Liuli raised her finger, he used his body to block the direction of the void tunnel. This caused Tian Liuli's expression to change, and she forcefully retracted her power. However, she was still a little too slow. The terrifying power turned into a sharp ray of light, piercing through Lin Ling's chest. With a swoosh, fresh blood immediately spurted out. Brother Xiao Yao. Seeing this, Tian Liuli was clearly very surprised. She immediately pounced towards Lin Ling. It seemed that she was really worried about Lin Ling. However, when she arrived in front of Lin Ling, her palm also fiercely slapped towards Lin Ling. A terrifying power easily entered Lin Ling's body, imprisoning everything. Lin Ling felt as if his entire body was about to explode. A mouthful of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. This woman was really ruthless. On the surface, she seemed to be worried about him, but she didn't show any mercy. Brother Xiao Yao, how are you? Beside Lin Ling, Tian Liuli was still looking worriedly at Lin Ling, as if what had happened before had nothing to do with her. She supported Lin Ling and bit her lips. Paired with her peerless beauty, she was extremely attractive. However, her eyes quietly sparkled. Although she was supporting this godlike man, she was very happy in her heart. Because she had finally caught this mysterious man. She was even more aware of how terrifying this man would be in the future. If she could capture him, then everything would be under her control. I'm fine. You, on the other hand, I don't think you're fine. However, how could Lin Ling not know what she was thinking? He turned to look at the woman beside him and suddenly grinned. For some reason, this smile made Tian Liuli suppress her excitement. She frowned because she was too familiar with Li Xiaoyao. When this smile appeared, it meant that something was about to happen. However, with Lin Ling's current strength, what big waves could he stir up? No matter what kind of empress you are in Zhozhou, no matter how many people you've surpassed, in my eyes, you're Tian Liuli and I'm Li Xiaoyao. You're looking down on me too much because I, Li Xiaoyao, will never be controlled by others. At this moment, Lin Ling spoke again. Then, his eyes emitted a sharp light, giant ghost. The giant ghost, who had always been by Lin Ling's side, finally exploded with a terrifying evil aura. This evil aura seemed to have come from the era of the gods. It was mixed with anger, sorrow, fear, evil, and desire. It was like the most ancient 7 emotions and 6 desires in the history of the world. When it turned into a whirlpool and enveloped Tian Liuli's body, it instantly made it difficult for her to move. At the same time, a mysterious rune appeared in Lin Ling's hand. Then, he looked at Tian Liuli's chest and fiercely slapped it. The curse of the gods. Bang bang. The last 2 curse of the gods landed heavily on Tian Liuli's chest, causing the 2 soft lumps in front of her to jump violently. However, Tian Liuli sensed that her strength was still being sealed. She couldn't help but raise her head in disbelief and stare at the handsome man in front of her. Li Xiaoyao was indeed Li Xiaoyao. Thousands of years ago, no one could control him. Today, no one could control him. Even if she, Luli Empress, had the strength to dominate the entire void, she was still weaker than Li Xiaoyao. Brother Xiaoyao, you. She stubbornly looked at Lin Ling and gritted her teeth. Slap. However, Lin Ling's expression turned cold. He fiercely slapped her face. Since this woman wanted to force him, Lin Ling, then Lin Ling would accompany her. This slap is for the dragon demons. Slap. The slapping sounds rang out again. This slap is for your father. If not for your ambition, they wouldn't have died. Slap. The slapping sounds continued. This slap is for your brother. Having a sister like you is his life's humiliation. After the 3 slaps, Lin Ling coldly looked at the beautiful woman in front of him. Luli Empress bit her lip and didn't say a word. She only stared at Lin Ling. In this lifetime, Lin Ling was the first person to slap her in the face. Not in the past, not now, and definitely not in the future. However, in the face of the stubborn Tian Liuli, Lin Ling raised his hand again and gave her the heaviest slap. Slap. This slap caused Tian Liuli to vomit blood. Her long hair was also a little messy. This slap is for Li Xiaoyao. The last sentence came out of Lin Ling's mouth. Previously, because of their old relationship, they were still very polite on the surface. However, Tian Lioli was the first to shed all pretense of cordiality. Therefore, Lin Ling gave her a fatal humiliation. Moreover, Lin Ling had been waiting for this slap for 2 lifetimes. At this moment, he released all his grievances and depression. Tian Lioli's delicate body trembled. Her power was sealed. In addition, it wasn't her real body that came here. It was just a doppelganger that she had created using a mystique. Therefore, when she was slapped by Lin Ling, she could clearly feel the force on her face. However, she still looked at Lin Ling with a stubborn gaze. It was as if she was telling Lin Ling that she wasn't wrong. Lin Ling also looked back coldly and sneered. "Remember, I am Li Xiaoyao. In the future, I will definitely kill you." With that, he immediately ran towards the void portal. Although he could seal Tian Lioli, he obviously didn't have the power to kill her. Watching the man leave, Tian Lioli's eyes turned even colder. There was even a trace of hatred in them. "Since I can't have it, I will destroy it." She lowered her head and mumbled to herself like a child who had her candy stolen. She knew that if she missed this opportunity, Lin Ling would be even harder to control in the future. She might not even be able to control him. So, between the Chaos Divine Formula and Li Xiaoyao, she chose to kill Li Xiaoyao and give up on the Chaos Divine Formula. This way, in the entire universe, only she had the Chaos Divine Formula. Although it was only at the 6th level. Don't blame me. You forced me to do this. Because we could have gotten along peacefully and even had children. But you just had to force me. Chapter 3993. See you next time. At this moment, she regained her Luli Empress's domineering aura. The whip that was wrapped around her alluring body suddenly swam out and disappeared into the void. When it reappeared, there was a fluctuation in the void, causing Lin Ling's expression to change drastically. Then, the terrifying whip viciously lashed out at Lin Ling. The power of this whip was like the god-beating whip. It was so terrifying that it tore the void in half. Even though Tian Lioli's power was sealed, she was still much stronger than when Tian martial god. It was impossible to seal all of her power in a short period of time. What little power she had left was enough to kill Lin Ling. Whoosh! The whip of death swept over, tearing through the void. Its speed was like a bolt of black lightning. Lin Ling, who was in front of it, narrowed his eyes. It was obvious that he could not resist at all. Then, he was split into 2 and completely turned into dust. All of this was like ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Li Xiaoyao, the genius of a generation. The son of the undying demon, Lin Ling, had fallen. Seeing the heroic man die, Tian Lioli was suddenly stunned. At this moment, she suddenly felt her heart ache. She had waited for thousands of years and finally saw him again. Then, she was forced to kill him with her own hands. However, at the same time that her heart ached, she felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted from her shoulders. It was as if no one in this world could restrain her any longer. From this angle, it could be seen that even though she really liked Li Xiaoyao, she still liked herself more. Therefore, if she couldn't control something, she would destroy it. Even if it was the man she loved the most, she wouldn't feel any reluctance. However, just as she thought that the terrifying existence who would become a god in the future had fallen, a void vortex appeared in front of her. Billowing underworld energy poured out as if it was a passage to the underworld. Among them, a man walked out slowly. He looked at Tian Lioli indifferently and smiled. Then, he stuck out his thumb and pointed it down fiercely. Then, the man walked towards the passage. See you next time. Goodbye. After the man disappeared, the only thing left behind was his icy cold voice. Seeing this, Tian Lioli felt like she was struck by lightning. Because that was Lin Ling. He didn't die. No, it should be said that he was resurrected again. An unparalleled fear suddenly spread, causing Tian Lioli's body to tremble. She stared at the man walking away. She knew that today, she had released a tiger back to the mountain. In the future, when they met again, that man would become a terrifying existence and make a comeback. Li Xiao Yao. Li Xiao Yao. Tian Lioli couldn't help but roar. She clenched her fists, trembling. Even though she could easily control over Huan Yu's life and death, she still couldn't control over that man. You must find Lin. Tian Lioli clenched her teeth and spat out a few words with great difficulty. Then, the woman she possessed coughed out a mouthful of blood and gradually recovered. However, her face was extremely pale. Lioli, the others immediately knew that Luli Empress had left, so they all flew over. They also knew that with Luli Empress's strength, ordinary people couldn't stop her. I'm a little injured, but it's not a big problem. Now, we have to catch Lin Ling. Before the Empress left, she told me that Lin Ling is seriously injured. The woman opened her eyes and said coldly. They all looked at the void tunnel. However, the void tunnel had been continuously attacked by the dragon demons and had completely collapsed. This meant that it was impossible to find Lin Ling through the void tunnel. The passage has collapsed. At present, Lin Ling doesn't even know where he is. So, we must stop him from returning to Snow City. Someone said coldly. In the final world, although killing is not allowed, if we kill him secretly, even the gods won't know. Lin Ling is Lei Gong's man. Don't let Lei Gong's people know. Go. The 18 people immediately scattered and searched aimlessly for Lin Ling in the final world. At the same time, they secretly spread the news and asked the experts of the new heavenly court to search for Lin Ling. At this moment, a large number of people were still waiting at the Phoenix Emperor Mountain. However, when they saw the passage collapse, their faces changed drastically. Why did the rift passage opened by Wendian martial god suddenly collapse? Oh no, the passage collapsed. That means the two of them can't return by the way they came. I wonder what happened to the two of them. Voices were also quietly transmitted out. Everyone was curious about the final outcome. Do you still need to think about it? Lin Ling must be dead. At this moment, a cold laugh suddenly sounded. Then, the people of the new heavenly court said cunningly, although killing is not allowed in the final world, that is the void world. I think some people have nothing to say. Some people they were talking about were naturally the people of Snow City. That's not necessarily true. The one who ran away was martial god Wen Tian. If he had the strength to kill Lin Ling, why would he run away? However, very quickly, someone retorted with a cold laugh. This made the people of the new heavenly court frown. They looked at the person who spoke and shouted angrily, "Shut up, young Yao. Don't think that we don't dare to touch you in the final world. Why are you angry with them? How could martial god Wen Tian be killed by those ants? How could they understand the methods of martial god Wen Tian? Maybe martial god Wen Tian purposely lost so that he could kill Lin Ling. That's right, I think so too." A few old monsters from the new heavenly court sneered. Their words made the group narrow their eyes. Even though martial god Wen Tian seemed to be heavily injured, he was still one of the top 10 martial gods in 9 continents. As the saying goes, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Thus, they began to worry about Lin Ling. However, at this time, a message suddenly entered the ears of the experts of the new heavenly court, causing them to tremble. Their eyes widened like bells. How is this possible? Someone even yelled out subconsciously. What happened? Everyone frowned after seeing their shocked expressions. However, when they were waiting for the people of the new heavenly court to speak, their expressions became heavy and they didn't say a word. Could it be that martial god Wen Tian has fallen? Some people couldn't help but speculate. This was like a stone that caused 1,000 ripples. Countless people's hearts exploded. Their faces trembled as if they couldn't believe this at all. What nonsense are you talking about? However, the people of the new heavenly court were also angry. However, their voices were a bit soft, clearly lacking confidence. In fact, they did receive news that martial god Wen Tian had fallen. Chapter 3994. Rushing out of the void passage. Therefore, everyone began to make guesses. Wen Tian martial god is dead? It must be Lin Ling who killed him, but why would Lin Ling destroy the void passage? He should be in danger, but we don't know where he went. Now that Wen Tian martial god is dead, the new heavenly court will definitely search for Lin Ling. We must find Lin Ling before they do. Over at Snow Wind Academy, everyone began to discuss secretly. They knew that the hatred between the new heavenly court and Lin Ling would never be resolved. Compared to their worries, the outside of Phoenix Emperor Mountain was in an uproar. Lin Ling actually killed Wen Tian martial god. This is unbelievable. Who is this Lin Ling? Are you crazy? Are you stupid? This is not the first time Lin Ling has killed a martial god. When he was in the 9 continents, he killed martial god Qilin, the son of the devil, Lin Ling. Seriously? Martial god Qilin was also one of the top 10 martial gods in the 9 continents, and he was also killed by him. This guy actually killed 2 martial gods. Someone mentioned Lin Ling's past, and without a doubt, another huge wave was stirred up. This Lin Ling actually killed Wen Tian martial god. Previously, the people of the new heavenly court secretly told us that the current Lin Ling was sealed by the Empress and was heavily injured. This is the price to pay for killing Wen Tian martial god, and the new heavenly court asked our Duan clan to help capture Lin Ling. If we can't capture him, a corpse is fine too, and after that, we will be heavily rewarded. Yes. This Lin Ling really caused a huge wave in the final world, but right now, he is at his weakest. Yes. On the Duan clan side, many people were also secretly transmitting messages, and their eyes were filled with dense killing intent. They knew that they must find Lin Ling faster than the people of Snow Wind City. Without a doubt, following the death of martial god Wen Tian, the 72 secondary cities and 36 main cities of the final world were in an uproar. After all, martial god Wen Tian was not only one of the top 10 martial gods, but his sister, Glaze Empress, was also a terrifying existence. Not only was she one of the top 10 martial gods, but she was also a trial taker with a god backing her. Now that Wen Tian martial god was dead, Luli Empress would definitely use the power in her hands to crazily plunder Lin Ling. At this moment, the outside world was in full swing. However, in a spatial tunnel, a large number of dragon demons were rushing forward rapidly. One of the dragon demons was carrying a man on its back. It was Lin Ling. I'm sorry, I killed them. On the back of the dragon demon, Lin Ling's expression was cold as he gritted his teeth. Previously, in order to prevent him from escaping, Tian Liuli had killed many dragon demons. This made Lin Ling feel extremely guilty. Young master, you can't be blamed for this. It's that woman. The dragon demons shook their heads. They had followed Lin Ling ever since they came out of the rainbow world. In addition, Lin Ling had the purest dragon bloodline. Therefore, in their hearts, Lin Ling was their true young master. Moreover, they and Lin Ling were considered another branch of the dragon race, a branch of the dragon god. I promise everyone that one day, I will definitely kill that woman and avenge everyone. Lin Ling's hatred for Tian Liuli had reached the point of hating the heavens. This hatred was not only from his previous life, but also from this life. After that, he checked his body and immediately discovered that his injuries were extremely serious this time. His bones, meridians, and dantian were all heavily damaged. Most importantly, the power of the celestial glass was very strange, causing his recovery speed to be 10 times slower than usual. Of course, the most important thing was that sealing power. It actually sealed all of Lin Ling's boundary essence. Currently, Lin Ling could only use his physical strength. Evil Ghost Jellyfish. Lin Ling also hurriedly controlled the evil ghost jellyfish and madly devoured the sealing power. However, the sealing power was very tyrannical, and the evil ghost jellyfish could only devour a small area. If it wanted to break the seal, it would take a long time. The price to pay for killing martial god Wen Tian is indeed great. Sensing the changes in his body, Lin Ling could not help but grit his teeth. In order to kill martial god Wen Tian, he had used up all of his treasures and was heavily injured. However, to Lin Ling, it was all worth it. Lin Ling, the sealing power in your body can allow Tian Liuli to roughly find your whereabouts. Next, before you recover your strength, do your best to avoid those who are chasing after you. At this time, the giant ghost said from the side. Hearing this, Lin Ling nodded. Originally, he wanted to inform the old woman and the others, but then he discovered that all of his voice transmission talismans were sealed. This caused Lin Ling's eyes to flash. He did not need to think to know that the tyrannical song sword and other treasures were also sealed. Giant tumor ruler technique. Lin Ling also instantly knew the sealing technique. This technique was extremely powerful. It could seal all of a martial artist's boundary essence, including things related to boundary essence. However, when using this sealing technique, the martial artist would also suffer a backlash and be heavily injured. Looks like I can only rely on myself. Lin Ling looked into the distance. He originally planned to return to Snow-Blowing City, but at this moment, he suppressed that thought because he guessed that there would be many enemies blocking the way to Snow-Blowing City. Young master, the speed of the collapse behind us is getting faster and faster. Sit tight, we have to speed up. At this time, the dragon demon in front of him spoke, causing Lin Ling to nod his head. Swoosh! Swoosh! The dragon demons turned into streams of light and crazily rushed forward in the broken void. Just as they rushed past, the void behind them shattered like glass. The turbulence was like an avalanche. This void was not comparable to the lesser void. It was extremely powerful. If it collapsed, the people inside would definitely die. Over there, the exit. As they rushed forward, the dragon demons also saw the exit. The exit was a gap that appeared because of the collapse of the void. However, at this moment, it was also collapsing. Speed up. Seeing that the exit was collapsing, the dragon demons also ignited their speed and stimulated it to the limit. Smash it open. When they were getting closer and closer to the exit was also getting smaller and smaller. Therefore, the dragon demons crazily used their bodies to smash the exit. Rumble. With this collision, the dragon demons were also drenched in blood. However, they were still unafraid of death. Ignoring the intense pain, they once again crashed into the exit. Looking behind them, the speed of the collapse was getting faster and faster. It was also extremely close to them. Boom! Finally, the exit was opened. Next, all the dragon demons rushed out and then stood on the grassland, panting. When they looked back, the rumbling continued and the exit was completely covered. If they were just a little slower, they would never be able to get out. Young master, where are we going now? Next, the dragon demons looked at Lin Ling and asked. Lin Ling frowned and glanced at the grassland around him. He felt that it was somewhat familiar. If he guessed correctly, this should be the final world. Chapter 3995. Escape. To the myriad worlds. However, Lin Ling immediately made a decision. He obviously knew that at this moment, there must be a large number of enemies searching for him, especially in the direction leading to Snow-Blowing City. There must be the most enemies there. Therefore, returning to Snow-Blowing City was extremely unwise. It was a pity that Lin Ling's voice transmission talisman was sealed. Otherwise, he could inform the old woman and the others to come and help. However, Lin Ling also estimated that unless Lei Gong came forward, they might not be able to fight against Luli Empress with just the old woman. Next, Lin Ling put away all the dragon demons. After all, there were too many of them, which would attract more attention. It was better to be alone. Whoosh! Lin Ling took a step forward, borrowing the strength of his fleshly body to gallop across the plains. His goal was to leave the final world. Only by going to the myriad realms would he be able to fly freely. Moreover, Tian Lioli would definitely be able to sense the seal on his body. At that time, if Tian Lioli were to be lured over, even the old woman and the others would not be able to stop the Empress. Furthermore, the glazed Empress would probably shed all pretense of cordiality and not give the Thunder God any face. She would forcefully capture Lin Ling. After leaving the final world, the outside world was also very big. Although Luli Empress knew his general direction, it was more troublesome for Luli Empress to catch Lin Ling. It was no different from looking for a needle in a haystack. Especially if Lin Ling went to some forbidden areas, Luli Empress would not be able to find him. One day later, Lin Ling appeared at the edge of the final world. Looking around, he could see a massive ancient city. The only thing separating it from the ancient city was the endless void. Aside from the ancient city's exit, the other places were blocked by a colorful light screen. Outside the light screen was also the void. However, it was obviously impossible to break through the light screen and rush into the void. This was because Lin Ling knew that the light screen was set up by a god. Ordinary people couldn't break it at all. Therefore, if he wanted to leave this place, the ancient city was the only way out. After a day of hurrying, Lin Ling's injuries had recovered a lot. However, the seal was still impregnable. Descending from the sky, Lin Ling took out a cloak and swiftly put it on. Then, he headed toward the ancient city. On the road leading to the ancient city, no matter what kind of expert they were, they all landed on the ground and lined up in an orderly manner. This was the rule of entering the city. Unless one was strong enough to resist the gods, even a martial god would have to obediently obey the orders of the city's guards. At the end of the road, Lin Ling, who was wearing a large cloak, also appeared. His gaze swept across the surroundings. After seeing that there was nothing unusual, he disguised himself as an ordinary person and walked towards the queue. Heaven's Gate. Heaven Gate City. Obviously, this was one of the 36 main cities. It probably had its own academy. The line slowly moved forward, disappearing through the ancient city's gate and entering Heaven Pass City. Obviously, there were only two purposes for warriors who came here. First, they were warriors who were originally from this city. Second, they were warriors who left the final world. Someone from Snow City. At this moment, a few guards stared at a person wearing a large cloak, and the other party took out an identity jade card. Can you take off your cloak and have a look? Although the man had an identity jade card, the guards still looked coldly at the cloaked man and asked. Hearing this, the cloaked man remained motionless. The aura he emitted was extremely cold. This made the guards quietly tighten their grip on their weapons, as if they were facing a great enemy. Sir, don't misunderstand. I just want to see your appearance. That's all. However, at this moment, a laugh suddenly melted the oppressive scene. A man in armor walked over with a smile. He looked indifferently at the cloaked man and said, because we have some opponents in Heaven Pass City. So, to prevent them from causing trouble here, we have to do this. Hearing this, the cloaked man finally loosened up. He slowly took off his cloak, revealing a handsome face. Although this face restrained his aura, the young man still noticed a bone-chilling coldness in those half-narrowed eyes. What a cold man. The young man was shocked. Then, he subconsciously checked the man's cultivation. However, it was like a stone sinking into the sea. He could not find anything. At this moment, the cloaked man put on his cloak again and entered the ancient city. This time, no one stopped him. However, the guards were a little unhappy because the young man was too cold and arrogant. Most people with character are like this. Forget it. On the contrary, the man smiled and explained. Yes, Deputy City Lord. However, the guards were very respectful to the young man, so they all smiled and nodded. They knew the young man's identity. Yuan Jiezi. An expert from Heaven Pass Academy's Shinsan Hall. He was an expert ranked in the top 200 on the divine list. Because of his outstanding talent and strength, he became the deputy city lord of Heaven Pass City. Next, the warriors at the gate continued to enter one after another. However, at this moment, a beautiful Pegasus flew over from afar. On the Pegasus sat a man in dazzling armor. Then, the man jumped down and said indifferently, "Under the orders of the gods, I've come to arrest a wanted criminal. Heaven Pass City, accept the order." The orders of the gods? The man called Yuan Jiezi's eyes flashed and he hurried forward. The other party also handed him a piece of parchment. When he opened it, his pupils shrank. Because the wanted criminal recorded in it was Lin Ling from Snow Wind Academy. And there was a portrait. As for the crime Lin Ling committed, it was killing people in the final world. However, the arrest warrant did not record who Lin Ling had killed. "Your Excellency, is such a wanted order issued in the entire final world?" Yuan Jiezi looked up and smiled at the man in front of him. "If I ask you to arrest him, then do it." "Why are you talking so much nonsense?" the man said indifferently. Then, his gaze swept across the crowd. "It has already recorded Lin Ling's appearance. If you see him, inform us immediately. There will be a great reward. The arrest warrant also recorded how to contact us." After leaving these words, the man rode the Pegasus and flew to the next city. "Sir, look." The guards pointed at the arrest warrant and exclaimed as they watched the man disappear from their sight. Their faces were filled with shock. Because the person depicted on the arrest warrant was the handsome young man from before. The wanted criminal Lin Ling. Whoever sees him can get the treasures of the gods. I hope I have such luck. However, what surprised the guards was that Yuan Jiezi did not seem to hear them. He was rubbing his chin and looking at the arrest warrant in his hand. This also made the guards' eyes flash. They instantly knew that the deputy city lord was pretending to be stupid. However, since the deputy city lord did not expose Lin Ling, they naturally pretended not to see him. Chapter 3996. Exposed. He naturally knew that the young man from before was Lin Ling. He also knew that not long ago, Lin Ling had killed martial god Wen Tian, causing a huge commotion in the final world. He had completely angered Luli Empress. Luli Empress was indeed powerful. She had actually obtained the order of a god and placed a bounty on Lin Ling in the final world. However, he also knew that this kind of bounty could only be placed in certain cities. Some cities might not give face to Luli Empress. After all, the final world did not have one god, but 4 gods. Moreover, this kind of bounty wouldn't last for long. As long as a god opposed it, the bounty would become a blank piece of paper. I didn't expect that a small border city like ours would attract such a big figure. Wind Snow Academy's Lin Ling, I've long heard of him. Walking into the city, the Yuan heir smiled faintly. Currently, within the 36 academies, there was probably no one who hadn't heard of Lin Ling's name. At this moment in the city, Lin Ling was wearing a large cloak as he walked along the streets. He seemed to be walking calmly, but he was also very cautious. However, he soon saw that a large number of guards had put up bounty notices. Furthermore, the sky was blooming with colorful fireworks, displaying the bounty notices, letting the entire city know. As for the wanted criminal, it was him, Lin Ling. This Luli Empress's power is really terrifying. It's as if she has control over the entire final world. Lin Ling couldn't help but be shocked. He never thought that Luli Empress would have such power. However, he also understood after thinking about it. Luli Empress definitely didn't have such power. She was only using the available resources in her hands to crazily plunder Lin Ling. However, this kind of plundering would not be long before Lei Gong stopped it. Unfortunately, although Lin Ling knew that Lei Gong would stop it, he didn't know how long it would take. If Luli Empress caught him first, it would be too late for Lei Gong to stop it. Moreover, Lei Gong wouldn't know that Luli Empress had already caught him, Lin Ling. Sigh, with my power sealed, everything is troublesome. If my power was restored, I wouldn't be afraid of Luli Empress. I'll just go to the 9 heavens and meet Lei Gong. Lin Ling was depressed. It was as if he wanted to see the emperor but was stopped by a eunuch. Moreover, he couldn't help but sigh when he thought about how he was running around like a stray dog. Be content. With your strength, you killed martial god Wen Tian. How proud is that? Now that you're wanted by the entire final world, I don't think there are many people in the final world who have the qualifications to do so. On the side, the giant ghost suddenly said, making Lin Ling smile. In fact, he was just expressing his feelings. He wasn't dispirited. After all, killing martial god Wen Tian was worth it. The wanted order has been issued. I have to leave this place immediately. After that, Lin Ling searched the streets. He wanted to find another gate. That was the main road out of the ancient city. That man from before, he obviously helped you. The giant ghost floated beside Lin Ling and suddenly said. Hearing this, Lin Ling's eyes lit up. He thought of the polite man from before and came to a realization. He just saw me, so he should know that I'm Lin Ling. However, looking at the city, there doesn't seem to be any panic. This means that he didn't expose me at all. Instead, he spread the wanted order everywhere. Obviously, he didn't want to let the people know. He wanted to tell me to leave this place immediately. Lin Ling smiled. He was very grateful to that man. By the way, you've reached the martial god realm. The divine inheritance treasure has been opened. At this moment, the giant ghost spoke again. Lin Ling finally remembered the divine inheritance treasure and couldn't help but look forward to it. After all, the treasures he bought from the shop of God were all extremely ferocious existences. The most precious treasures of God's inheritance, how could they be weak? Everything depends on the seal being broken. Lin Ling licked his lips. He put on the cloak and walked toward the other city gate. However, when he arrived at the other city gate, Lin Ling's face instantly turned ugly. This was because there was a large army there. All of them were demigod realm martial artists and many of them were martial gods. As the border of the final world, Heaven Pass City naturally had many experts. There were even more experts than Snow City. This is a little troublesome. Lin Ling's eyes continued to flicker. It was obviously unwise to force his way in. I can only try my luck. Lin Ling said to himself. He also knew that the way to escape was right in front of him. If he went back, unless Lei Gong's order came, Lin Ling would be doomed eternally. I'll teach you a method to conceal your aura. Next to him, the giant ghost also spoke and then whispered to Lin Ling. Lin Ling's eyes gradually brightened. His face and aura under the cloak also quietly changed. Without further ado, Lin Ling hurriedly lined up in an attempt to leave this place as soon as possible. Keep your eyes open. This time, the god has sent an order to capture the wanted criminal Lin Ling. This Lin Ling has done all kinds of evil. He used tricks to kill a big shot and even destroyed a large city of martial artists. This is really ruthless. Therefore, if any of you see Lin Ling, for the sake of the final world's peace, you must report him. In front of the city gate, a man about 20 years old spoke in a dignified voice. This man looked very ordinary and was extremely thin. However, his strength was not weak. He was an expert in the martial god realm. He sat on a chair, a satisfied expression on his face. 2 beautiful women sat on the tiger skin chair. At this moment, one was feeding him wine and the other was feeding him grapes. Young Master Shao, if we capture Lin Ling, can you become a trial challenger? One of the guards chuckled and said flatteringly. Aren't you just spouting nonsense? With young Master Zhao's talent, he should have become a trial challenger. It's just that the heavens are jealous of geniuses. The heavens have always been harsh on those with outstanding talent. Right now, they are testing young Master Shao. Another guard said, unwilling to be outdone. They knew that this thin youth was the son of the city lord. He was also an expert of Heaven's Gate Academy's third hall. With such an identity, how could they not flatter him? You all really know how to talk. The thin youth smiled faintly. Although he knew that these fellows were flattering him, this flattery still made him very happy. This wanted order, we are only putting on an act. After all, this is the order of the god. In addition, there is the relationship between the new heavenly court and my father. Alright, let's not talk about this. The thin youth smiled. But as he spoke, he suddenly stopped and lightly said, the final world has 4 city gates. The wanted criminal won't use our city gate. Moreover, the wanted criminal isn't so stupid. He shouldn't leave the final world at this time. Instead, he should be hiding in the final world. Chapter 3997. Stop Lin Ling. Looking at the reflection in the mirror, that person looks young with delicate features and a cold temperament. Who else could it be but Lin Ling? This is exactly the same as the one on the wanted poster, it's Lin Ling. This time, the entire city was in an uproar. Countless people stared at the mirror above the city gate and then shifted their gaze to a person in the queue. Snow Wind Academy's Lin Ling. He actually came here. That's Snow Wind Academy's Lin Ling? That big shot who killed 2 gods in a row. Heavens, I'm actually lucky enough to see such a big shot. I heard that he's the #1 newcomer king among the 36 academies. Good, he really appeared. The crowd was in an uproar. Obviously, everyone knew the whole story. The so-called wanted criminal was actually just someone who offended a god. There was no such thing as committing all kinds of evil and killing people like flies. This was just an excuse. Therefore, when they saw the legendary hero, everyone was very excited. Not good. Being the focus of everyone's attention, Lin Ling secretly cursed. It's the 8-stone curved flame mirror, no wonder it could see through my concealment technique. Damn it, I actually forgot that as the final world city gate, this kind of treasure definitely exists. Giant Ghost also secretly cursed. Forget it, since it's already discovered, it's useless to hide anymore. Lin Ling shook his head and finally took off his cloak. When his appearance was revealed, the entire city was in an uproar. Lin Ling. All the guards raised the weapons in their hands as if they were facing a great enemy. Towards this legendary character, they were obviously incomparably afraid. Next, they quietly surrounded Lin Ling in a circle. Waha, you're Lin Ling. At this time, an excited shout floated out. Young Master Xiao excitedly stood up and walked step by step towards Lin Ling. I heard that you're seriously injured, and the wanted poster even recorded that your strength was sealed. I didn't expect the legendary character to be like this. But he doesn't look like much. He stopped in his tracks and rubbed his chin, sizing up Lin Ling. No matter how bad it is, it's still better than you. Now, what do you want? Lin Ling glanced at the man calmly. He could roughly tell the man's strength. He was a 4th-layer martial god with an 8th-grade talent. With such strength, he was naturally not a match for the current Lin Ling. Of course, Lin Ling's boundary essence was also sealed. His combat strength was reduced by more than half. However, Lin Ling was still confident that he could easily crush his opponent. On the contrary, the guards in the surroundings were a huge problem. Because there were too many of them, if he was entangled, then when the experts of Heavenly Lioli arrived, Lin Ling, would definitely be unable to charge out. I've always been an easygoing person. I'll give you a chance. If you kneel down and let me step on your shoulder, I'll let you leave this place. Young Master Xiao said with a smile. He was slightly intimidated by a legendary character like Lin Ling. However, after knowing that Lin Ling's strength was sealed, he no longer treated him as a threat. On the contrary, if he could step on a hero like Lin Ling, it would be a great honor in his life. I'm sorry, I've always been the one to step on others. No one has ever stepped on me. Lin Ling smiled. You have a backbone. I like it. Second chance, fight with me. If you win, you can leave. Of course, if you lose, I'll still step on you. Young Master Xiao said proudly as if he was not afraid of Lin Ling at all. However, the crowd wore a disdainful look. What if Lin Ling was at his peak? This young Master Xiao would not dare to speak. Although young Master Xiao's strength was not weak, compared to the number one newcomer king, Lin Ling, he was just a pile of shit. This. Lin Ling turned to look at the horizon and frowned. He knew that the longer he delayed, the more trouble he would be in. Hee, are you afraid? What newcomer king? What expert who defeated Longmyang? You're still afraid when you meet me. Young Master Xiao laughed heartily when he saw Lin Ling's hesitation. The glow on his body seemed to shoot straight into the sky. To be able to crush a newcomer king, what kind of glory was that? After all, he was only ranked in the 300th place on the God ranking. Moreover, he saw that there were many Heaven's Gate Academy students on the street looking at him in shock. This made his nostrils flare up. Pride. What kind of pride was that? Tomorrow, his legend would probably spread throughout Heaven's Gate Academy. Well, it's not that I can't. I'm just afraid that you're too weak and not enough for me to step on. However, just as young Master Xiao was feeling complacent, Lin Ling finally finished his unfinished words. As soon as he finished speaking, he stomped his foot on the ground and a terrifying speed erupted. Rumble. Heaven's Gate City seemed to shake 3 times. Those who were not strong were so shocked that they fell to the ground. Young Master Zhao's feet were unsteady and he almost fell to the ground. He did not expect Lin Ling to attack immediately. Then, he laughed loudly. Come on, let me have a taste of you. As soon as he finished speaking, he struck a flirtatious pose, intending to defeat Lin Ling in one move. Obviously, he thought that Lin Ling's strength, which had been sealed, was not his match at all. Bang! However, Lin Ling's ferocious palm arrived like a dragon's claw. The power within was extremely terrifying. After sweeping down like a storm, it immediately wreaked havoc on young Master Xiao. Rumble. The ground cracked open. At the center of the crack, young Master Xiao was slapped down. He spat out blood and was trying to climb up with difficulty. He was defeated in one move. The students from Heaven's Gate Academy were all stunned. Then, they could not help but laugh. This young Master Xiao was so embarrassing. Of course, their hearts were also very heavy. Because they were all students of the academy, they more or less wanted to compete with Lin Ling. However, they did not expect that although Lin Ling did not have boundary essence, his strength was not much weaker than boundary essence. It seemed that the number one newcomer king was indeed very mysterious. Bang! Young Master Xiao had just climbed halfway when Lin Ling's foot arrived and stepped on him again. Young Master. The guards immediately shouted and unleashed their boundary essence, surrounding Lin Ling. They did not expect that Lin Ling's strength would still be so fierce even after being sealed. Could it be that the arrest warrant was wrong? All of you, get lost. Otherwise, I don't mind exterminating your young master. Lin Ling smiled and grabbed young Master Xiao under his foot. He fiercely punched him more than 10 times in the stomach, beating him until he was like a dead dog. Then, Lin Ling held young Master Zhao's neck as if he was holding a cat and walked towards the city gate step by step. Lin Ling, you dare. The guards were enraged. Lin Ling was actually using young Master Xiao to threaten them. Moreover, they were also cursing in their hearts. If it was not for that stupid young master who insisted on a heroic one-on-one battle, they would have caught Lin Ling by now. Chapter 3998. Stop him. However, although they were afraid, they obviously did not give way. After all, they did not want Lin Ling to escape. Lin Ling, I'll let you go, but you have to let young Master Xiao go first. Yes. However, just as the guards were still eyeing them covetously, an indifferent voice suddenly sounded. The Yuan heir had also arrived with a large number of experts. Deputy City Lord. Yes. Seeing this, everyone's expression changed. Yuan heir nodded to the guards and looked at Lin Ling again. He then smiled and said, "How is it?" "Good. Good. Yes." Lin Ling also looked at Yuan heir, but this time, he did not hesitate and directly threw him over. He knew that if he delayed any longer, there would definitely be more problems. As for Yuan heir, Lin Ling also trusted him. Although they had only met by chance, if Yuan heir really wanted to harm him, he could have done it when he entered the city. Why wait until now? Straightforward. Yes. Yuan heir did not expect Lin Ling to be so straightforward. Then, he said to the guards, "Open the city gate and let him leave." "Yes. Sir, this." "Yes." One of the guard captains shouted awkwardly. "Open the city gate." "Yes." Yuan heir shouted majestically, "Our Heaven Pass city is a big city. How can we go back on our words?" Young Master Xiao had already said that if Lin Ling won, Lin Ling would leave. And I also said that if Lin Ling handed over young Master Xiao, I would let him leave. Now, I naturally have to do what I said. Yes. 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 Yuan heir was the deputy city lord. The guards did not dare to disobey, so they opened the city gate. Lin Ling cupped his hands and bowed to the Yuan heir. Then, he strode toward the city gate. He, Lin Ling, would remember the Yuan heir's kindness in his heart and would definitely repay him in the future. My son agreed, and so did the deputy city lord. However, I, the city lord, did not agree. Yes. However, at this moment, a black light suddenly flashed in the sky. A buzzing sound spread through the sky, and then a black light heavily smashed into the ground. Rumble. At the city gate, a 5-meter-tall giant stood there, blocking the exit once again. Taking a closer look, this giant was wearing a majestic black armor, as if he could hold back 10,000 men all by himself. This person was the city lord of Heaven Pass City. Fuck. This also caused Lin Ling's expression to become extremely unsightly. This was because he realized that this city lord was very strong. If he was at his peak, he would still be able to fight against him. But now? You're Lin Ling? The tall giant looked down at Lin Ling, his pitch-black armor covering his face. The mask on his face was suffused with a ruthless light as he carefully sized up Lin Ling. It went without saying that he had heard of Lin Ling before. He did not expect the young man who had once killed the heaven-seeking martial god to be like this. "I heard you're a first-level martial god," he said in a deep voice with a hint of curiosity. It was obvious that he did not expect a first-level martial god to be able to kill a martial god. The difference between his strength and the heaven-seeking martial god was too great. However, the heaven-seeking martial god was already dead. This was an unchangeable fact. Therefore, he had to capture Lin Ling. "You dare to touch my son?" Xiao Fang glanced at the Yuan heir and said coldly. "It was your son who wanted to fight me. He's not strong enough, so he can't blame anyone else." Lin Ling looked at him coldly. He could sense the powerful force emitting from his opponent's body. "City Lord, our Heaven Pass City has already agreed to let Lin Ling go. You're going back on your word by doing this." At this moment, the Yuan heir in the distance spoke up. Anger rose in his heart. The city lord was purposely trying to undermine his prestige. "Shut up." Xiao Fang suddenly looked at the Yuan heir and shouted coldly, "This person is a wanted criminal. As the deputy city lord, you actually let him go. Moreover, this person did whatever he wanted in our city and injured my son. It's fine if you don't capture him, but you dare to let him go? Because your son has already lost. According to the agreement, we should let him go. Otherwise, what integrity does our Heaven Pass City have? Besides, it's not that I want to let him go, but your son was threatened. I used your son's life in exchange for his release. If you want to blame someone, blame your son. Although the Yuan heir was not as old as Xiao Fang, he was not afraid of him. It could be seen that although they were both city lords, there was still some friction between them. And Yuan heir's words pushed all the blame onto young Master Xiao, as if young Master Xiao was worthless, which made Xiao Sifang's expression extremely ugly. This newly promoted deputy city lord seemed to be a strong opponent, and he must find a way to remove him in the future. After all, he was not a member of the Xiao clan, and his intentions must be disloyal. I admit that you, Yuan heir, have agreed to let my son go. However, as the city lord, I still have the right to speak. I haven't agreed to let him go. Xiao Fang said indifferently, using his words to block the Yuan heir's words, making the latter's face turn cold. Then, Xiao Fang looked at Lin Ling and said, "You fight with me. If you win, I'll let you go." What a shameless person. Hearing this, Lin Ling also sneered. Previously, when young Master Xiao was defeated, Lin Ling could have left. Moreover, the deputy city lord had agreed. Now the city lord came out to stop him. Later, the whole city would take turns to stop him. At that time, the experts of Heaven Pass City would have already arrived. No matter what you say, you can't leave until you defeat me. Xiao Fang snorted and said domineeringly. And now, Lin Ling obviously had no choice. Therefore, Lin Ling's physical strength was also activated, causing the ground under his feet to continue to tremble. Seeing that Lin Ling's strength was still fierce, Xiao Fang narrowed his eyes. It was rumored that Lin Ling of Snow Wind Academy was the new king. Today, he saw that his strength was indeed extraordinary. Lin Ling, you want to fight our city lord Xiao? You are overestimating yourself. However, just as Lin Ling was about to attack, Yuan heir suddenly laughed. Our city lord Xiao is a member of the new heavenly court. He has received the inheritance of the new heavenly court. Do you think you are qualified to fight him? Moreover, he has entered the 7th level of the 8 gods' heavenly palace. In the entire final world, there are not many people who have been to the 7th level of the 8 gods' heavenly palace. This is an honor. Moreover, our city lord's talent is the 10th grade ultimate desolate body. His advantage is that his defense is like a city wall. Coupled with the strength of a late-stage martial god, I'm afraid you can't block 3 of his moves. Yuan heir's words seemed to be mocking Lin Ling, but in fact, it was also a reminder to Lin Ling. Lin Ling's pupils quietly flickered. He finally knew why City Lord Xiao was stopping him. It turned out that he was a member of the new heavenly court. Yuan heir, shut up. Xiao Fang's face turned ugly. Naturally, he knew what Yuan heir was doing. That guy was telling Lin Ling his strength. Chapter 3999. Help. Bang. With a stomp on the ground immediately exploded, revealing a 5-meter-wide footprint. Lin Ling quickly flew towards Xiao Sifang under the recoil. In the air, a fist that contained the power of 40,000 worlds ferociously blasted towards Xiao Fang with an explosive sound in the air. Currently, Lin Ling's boundary essence was sealed, so he couldn't use innate talent fusion. His strongest punch was still the punch of his physical strength. Seeing the continuous rumbling of the fist, Xiao Sifang's expression turned serious. Then, he shouted, "City wall." His voice was as deep as thunder, and a dazzling light appeared from his feet. The light flowed along his armor like a flood, passing through his thighs, chest, neck, and finally reached Xiao Sifang's eyes. At this moment, his eyes flickered. When the light flooded his eyes, a huge and pitch-black ancient wall appeared around Xiao Sifang's body. Rumble. Lin Ling's fist was like a meteor, smashing into the ancient wall. The ancient wall shook slightly, but it didn't move at all. Bang! 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 A powerful force counterattacked, sending Lin Ling flying. Bang! As he flew backward, Lin Ling's palm clawed fiercely at the green bricks on the ground. A bottomless trench was dug out on the ground. Finally, that terrifying speed was stopped. As expected of the city lord. Even if my boundary essence wasn't sealed, it would still be difficult to win against him. Standing up straight, Lin Ling said solemnly. Because he knew that the city lord hadn't used his full strength. His goal was to stop him from leaving the city. So powerful. The surrounding people were shocked. To be able to become the city lord of the 36 main cities, his strength naturally wasn't undeserved. Now, Lin Ling was stopped. If he wasted any more time, the experts of the new heavenly court would definitely arrive. At that time, Lin Ling wouldn't be able to leave. Many people were secretly worried for Lin Ling, especially the students of Heaven's Gate Academy. Although they weren't familiar with Lin Ling, they were all students. Naturally, most of them were on Lin Ling's side. No matter how hard a wall is, I think there will be a loophole. I'm very curious where this loophole is. At this moment, Lin Ling moved his limbs slightly, and then shot out like a meteor again. Seeing this, Xiao Sifang didn't say anything. He just stood there coldly. He believed that with his protection, Lin Ling wouldn't be able to leave the city. However, at this time, a sudden change occurred. Lin Ling suddenly stretched out his left hand. Then, a black torrent submerged him. Upon closer inspection, those black torrents were actually endless black vines. These vines grew rapidly, and they immediately wrapped around Xiao Sifang. The tough black thorns constantly cut Xiao Sifang's body. These vines were none other than Little Kunlun. Obviously, Little Kunlun wasn't sealed. However, Xiao Sifang was worthy of being a veteran martial god. Although he was submerged by the vines, he still didn't retreat. Surging murderous aura erupted from his body as he tried to break free from the vines. However, the vines were difficult to deal with, and he was powerless to break free. At this time, Lin Ling's fist finally arrived. Moreover, this time, it was among the endless vines, and it blasted toward a face. From afar, the scene was extremely spectacular. The black vines were like a city wall, submerging the heaven and earth in front of it. However, a face was revealed among the black vines, and that face was naturally City Governor Zhao's face. It gave people the feeling that City Governor Zhao's hands and legs were tied up at this moment, and he was being beaten violently. Rumble. Lin Ling's fist arrived and landed on City Governor Zhao's face, and his face was knocked askew. Wow! The crowd was also in an uproar. The Yuan heir and the others narrowed their eyes. They didn't expect Lin Ling, who was sealed, to have such a skill. It was hard to imagine how terrifying Lin Ling was at his peak. The fist was still close to City Governor Zhao's face. However, Lin Ling frowned because he sensed that his fist seemed to have hit an iron wall. Although he was sealed, his fist could still break through the myriad realms. Ka ka ka. The sound of gears turning came from City Governor Zhao's neck. His crooked neck twisted, and he slowly turned his head to look at Lin Ling. "You're only SOSO." Boom. As soon as these words fell, countless people were shocked. City Governor Xiao was actually safe and sound. This was too terrifying. In this way, it would be even more difficult for Lin Ling to rush out. Lin Ling's gaze also stared at City Governor Xiao, and he grinned. "When I was at my peak, why didn't you dare to say this to me?" If it was Lin Ling at his peak, with City Governor Zhao's state of only defending and not attacking, Lin Ling was confident that he could cut off his head with a sword. Of course, although he said those words, Lin Ling also knew that things were troublesome because he had spent too much time here. "Get out of the way." But at this moment, a delicate voice suddenly came from the sky. Then, the sky rumbled, and a huge black dragon flew over, roaring at the sky. Beside the black dragon was a majestic black phoenix. When the dragon and phoenix appeared, endless pressure shrouded the entire Heaven Pass city. What talent is this? My talent is actually trembling in the face of that dragon and phoenix. Black dragon and black phoenix? Could it be the underworld beast guarding the entrance to the underworld? Countless exclamations sounded in Heaven Pass City. In their eyes, the black dragon and black phoenix intertwined with each other and turned into an ancient black door. The door was quietly closed, but the moment it opened, a figure seemed to have returned from the underworld. She was dressed in a long white dress and held a shocking divine axe in her hand. Then, she looked at the face in the vines and slashed down crazily. Seeing this, Lin Ling immediately retreated, and then looked at the person in disbelief. Because he did not expect that he would be saved by his enemy. Clang! The power of the divine axe was naturally not something City Lord Shao could easily block. When it landed on his face, an axe mark immediately appeared on his face, and cracks appeared on his mask. The divine embryo body is really extraordinary. City Lord Shao coldly spat out a sentence. Then, his body shook, and a terrifying storm gushed out, sweeping away the surrounding black vines and revealing his true body. He also looked at the sky. I didn't expect that such a strange woman would come to save you. Lin Ling, your luck is really good. However, she might not be able to defeat me. City Lord Shao roared angrily. The woman in the sky's dress fluttered in the wind. Her delicate little face was filled with indifference, and she held the huge divine axe in her hand, looking majestic. This made the eyes of the Heaven Pass Academy's experts brighten. What a beautiful goddess! In their hearts, the woman was too unique because a weapon like the axe would usually only appear on men. This was the first time they saw a woman holding such a domineering weapon. However, from a distance, it was extremely harmonious, giving the woman a different kind of beauty, like a goddess of war. She's here to help Lin Ling. Could she be his confidant? Chapter 4000. Rushing out of Heaven Pass City. Lin Ling smiled bitterly when he heard those voices. He knew that she was not his confidant. She was a crazy woman who could take his life at any time. That woman was Longyang. You can't die in the hands of these ants. If you want to die, you should die in my hands. Longyang looked at Lin Ling from the sky and said coldly. Lin Ling had said the same thing to her when he saved her from Wentian martial god. Now, she was returning the same words to Lin Ling. Hearing this, Lin Ling's bitter smile deepened. When he saved Longyang, it was because he felt that Longyang's talent was too terrifying. He couldn't bear to see her fall. After all, he also wanted a powerful genius to constantly motivate himself and make himself stronger. Who knew that he would be saved by his enemy today? How did you find me? Lin Ling asked immediately. Longyang did not speak. She raised her eyebrows and a figure shot out from the black door in the sky. This person was tall and burly and wore a long cloak. Who else could it be but the Platinum Evil Spirit? When Lin Ling was fighting in the Phoenix Emperor Spring, the Platinum Evil Spirit had stayed on the Phoenix Emperor Mountain. He did not expect this guy to find him and even brought Longyang with him. Obviously, Dragon Lady knew that the Platinum Evil Ghost was his bodyguard. When she couldn't find him, she would follow the Platinum Evil Ghost and she would definitely be able to find some clues. That was the truth. Thinking of this, the bitter smile on Lin Ling's face became even more intense. He never thought that even though the Glazed Empress was searching for him everywhere in the final world, Dragon Mother would be even more attentive than them and find him one step faster. There's not much time left. There are experts coming. Get lost. Longyang shouted angrily at Lin Ling. Lin Ling's eyes narrowed. This loser was asking him to get lost? Longyang shouted angrily. She held a giant axe and descended from the sky. She looked at the city lord and viciously chopped down. Rumble. A giant trench was carved out on the ground. Heaven Pass City trembled as a terrifying storm swept out, carrying with it an unstoppable force. However, after everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, they all stared straight ahead. City Lord Shao stretched out his hands and caught Longyang's giant axe. He said coldly, although the divine fetus is powerful, your cultivation level is too low. I said that you can't defeat me. As soon as he finished speaking, two ferocious divine powers rushed out from behind him. They were like wings that swept forward. As the wings swept forward, a black force erupted and turned into two huge walls. One on the left and one on the right, submerging Longyang. Lin Ling, find a chance and rush out. You don't have to thank me. I only helped you so that I can kill you in the future. Dragon Mother didn't choose to retreat when she saw the city walls closing in. Instead, she looked at Lin Ling and said. Then she shouted and the black dragon and black phoenix in the sky swam over. As soon as the dragon and phoenix arrived, the walls submerged Longyang. From afar, a tall black wall sat on the ground, towering into the clouds. Inside the wall, the outline of a woman could be faintly seen. However, at this moment, it seemed to have turned into a mural. Moreover, on the left and right of the woman, there were dragon and phoenix carvings. It was extremely mysterious. You overestimate yourself. City Lord Xiao coldly snorted in disdain as he stared at the mural. However, just as his voice faded, cracks appeared on the city wall. Next, a black axe light, carried by the dragon and phoenix, rushed out of the city wall and ruthlessly slashed at City Lord Xiao. Clang! The sudden attack was too fast. City Lord Xiao had not expected the woman, who was only at the initial stage of the martial god realm, to be able to break through his divine powers. Therefore, when the divine axe slashed at him, his mask shook and the lower half of his mask finally slid down, revealing half of his face. Boom! At the same time, the huge wall exploded. Amidst the flying debris, the black dragon and black phoenix circled around the woman. The woman held the giant axe in her hand and slashed at City Lord Xiao in an awe-inspiring manner. Lin Ling, let's go. Almost at the same time, the woman shouted. Thanks. Lin Ling did not waste any time and immediately rushed toward the city gate. City Lord Xiao's face changed drastically. At the moment, he could stop Lin Ling. However, if he did, he would have to bear the blow from the woman's axe. The woman's axe was not to be underestimated as it had cut off his mask. Bastard, Lin Ling, can you only rely on women? He roared angrily and gave up on Lin Ling. He used all his strength to block Longyang's attack and said sarcastically. When he was at his peak, he was stronger than me. However, I was able to break through your defense. What about him? To everyone's surprise, before Lin Ling could speak, Longyang spoke coldly. Then, the giant axe slashed at him indiscriminately. Ancient Bell. City Lord Xiao knew that the giant axe was not as powerful as it was at the beginning. If he did not defend himself, he would be seriously injured. Therefore, a black light flowed around his body and continued to emit. In the end, it turned into a huge black ancient bell outside his body. 9 Scriptures of the Door Gods. This was a powerful ability he had obtained from the 7th level of the 8 Gods' heavenly palace. It corresponded with his talent and complemented each other. According to legend, this ability came from the ancient era of the gods. Dong! Longyang's giant axe kept slashing on the ancient bell, causing a loud sound. The sound was so terrifying that it caused a large number of houses in Heaven Pass City to collapse. The weaker people were so intimidated that they vomited blood. At this moment, Lin Ling had already leaped past City Lord Xiao and the city gate was within his sight. Lin Ling. Seeing that Lin Ling was about to leave, City Lord Xiao was about to explode with anger. He knew that with Lin Ling's departure, with his identity as the newcomer king, it would be like releasing a tiger back to the mountain. After all, Lin Ling had killed martial god Wen Tian, so his power was sealed. However, in the future, Lin Ling would not be as powerless as he was today. It would be as simple as a finger for him to crush Xiao Sifang. He's leaving. Longyang also looked at Lin Ling with an imperceptible smile. She obviously did not want Lin Ling to die here. Then, she stared at City Lord Xiao and said indifferently, "Although I can't defeat you, my goal is not to defeat you." Her words were like adding oil to the fire, making City Lord Xiao even angrier. At the same time, Lin Ling finally rushed out of the city gate. In front of him was an endless void. It was mysterious and vast, like an endless sea, allowing Lin Ling to swim freely. I'm finally out. A smile appeared on Lin Ling's face. Then, he ran away without looking back. Seeing Lin Ling leave freely, Longyang did not say anything. She also knew that Lin Ling, who left this time, would definitely stir up a storm of blood when he returned. This is good. With this opponent, I, Longyang, can become stronger. Longyang mumbled to herself. Whoosh. Chapter 4001. The pursuers had arrived. While they were surprised, a large number of experts arrived from the sky after the time for an entire 3 incense sticks to burn. All of these experts were at the martial god realm, and the 10+ people in the lead were even extremely young. All of them wore divine and awe-inspiring armor. The divine sacred knights have arrived. After those people landed, a young man said coldly, "Where is Lin Ling?" They looked around and of course, stared at Longyang in the sky and frowned slightly. Obviously, they all knew Longyang. Longyang was also looking at them. Her eyes were slightly surprised, but she also turned and left coldly. He's already gone. At this time, City Master Xiao finally spoke. What? We received the news and rushed over as soon as possible. He escaped so quickly. Damn it. Hearing City Master Xiao's words, those people were obviously very angry. How long has he been gone? However, one person was extremely calm and asked City Master Xiao. About 3 incense sticks worth of time. City Master Xiao immediately said. His power has been sealed. He shouldn't have escaped far. Chase after him. Hearing this, the eyes of the divine sacred cavalry lit up. Then, they charged towards the city gate in a grandiose manner. It's them. Seeing that group of people rushing out of the city gate, the Yuan heir's eyes narrowed because he knew that group of people. They were all experts from the 36 academies. They were ranked in the top 220 on the stairway to heaven on the divine list. They were extremely powerful. Especially the young man in the lead. His name was Wen Nidian. His strength was monstrous and comparable to many city masters. He was a 10th grade divine sacred knight. If they catch up with Lin Ling, with Lin Ling's current strength, he is definitely not a match for this group of people. The Yuan heir was a little worried. In the sky, Longyang stood quietly in front of the dark gate. Her eyes looked into the distance. She naturally knew the consequences of Lin Ling encountering this group of experts. However, she had already done what she could. The rest was up to Lin Ling himself. At this moment, Lin Ling stepped forward, causing the void to explode. He was also charging forward crazily because he knew that this pursuit was not over. At least, before his seal was lifted, there would definitely be a lot of annoying flies. Sure enough, not long after Lin Ling started running, he immediately sensed the fluctuations behind him. Lin Ling, there are many martial god realm experts chasing after us. Their strength is not much weaker than the previous city lord. The giant ghost reminded Lin Ling, moreover, they have locked onto you. Lin Ling immediately looked up, and the eye of chaos appeared. He could vaguely sense a pitch-black butterfly floating around him. It was faintly discernible and extremely mysterious. It was because of the butterfly's tracking that Lin Ling was exposed and locked on to the direction. If it was in the past, Lin Ling could have easily devoured the butterfly by releasing the evil ghost jellyfish. However, now that his Jia Yuan was sealed, the evil ghost jellyfish could not leave his body at all. At this moment, a large number of experts were shooting forward like shooting stars. Found him. He is not far away. With our speed, we will be able to catch him in about an incense stick's time. Someone laughed excitedly, causing the others to laugh as well. They looked at the person who was shouting excitedly and said, Lu Fei, you have made a great contribution. They all knew that Lu Fei's methods were very strange. He could control the nether butterfly to monitor from a long distance. Ordinary people could not see through the black butterfly at all. The Empress has ordered us to capture Lin Ling. Everything else is up to us, including Lin Ling's divine embryo body. She only wants Lin Ling. During the Battle of Phoenix Emperor Mountain, Lin Ling displayed 2 divine embryo bodies. It was extremely powerful. If we can get the divine embryo body, we can rush into the top 100 on the divine stairway. We can follow the trial takers and create our own era. Currently, Lin Ling's strength is sealed. This is the best time to kill him. Everyone, let's speed up. The experts licked their lips excitedly. Son of the devil, Lin Ling, I am coming to kill you. The young man called Lu Fei looked up to the sky and laughed loudly. He took the lead and rushed forward. Boom! However, at this moment, there was a loud explosion. Then, Lu Fei spat out a mouthful of blood and his face became extremely pale. Everyone was stunned. That Lin Ling found my nether butterfly and destroyed it with a punch. Lu Fei said as he spat out blood. He gritted his teeth. What an agile guy. Let's speed up. Wen Nitian's eyes turned cold as he sped up. He was there during the battle at the Phoenix Emperor Mountain and he was shocked by Lin Ling's strength. He was jealous because Lin Ling was just a newcomer. How could he become so strong so quickly? They had been cultivating for hundreds and thousands of years but they were only at the same level. Now, he finally had the chance to kill Lin Ling. With Lin Ling's strength sealed and Luli Empress's appearance, even the Snow Academy and Snow City did not dare to help Lin Ling. This caused Lin Ling to be like a stray dog that everyone wanted to beat up. Although he did not know why the Snow Academy was silent about this matter, it was obviously not what they should be thinking. At this moment, on the other side, Lin Ling was still running. He looked at the golden white evil spirit behind him with doubt in his eyes. According to the norm, the old woman and the others should know the existence of the golden white evil spirit. They should have followed the golden white evil spirit to find him. Then, he searched the golden white evil spirit's body and finally found a letter. After opening it, Lin Ling could not help but be stunned. The letter recorded the 4-star mission of the trial of God. It said that Lin Ling could return to the final world and find Lei Gong. Only then would he be able to completely become the heavenly voice of the gods. Damn it! Seeing the letter, Lin Ling could not help but curse. Unknowingly, Lei Gong had already arranged a mission for him. He wanted Lin Ling to escape without relying on Lei Gong's strength and return to the final world to find Lei Gong. This was also the first time a trial taker would meet Lei Gong. After all, not every trial taker could meet a god. At that time, Lin Ling would be considered a 4-star trial taker and completely become the heavenly voice of the gods. He never thought that his great escape would also become a trial mission. Was Lei Gong abnormal? And for the trial mission, the experts on Lei Gong's side could not help him. He had to rely on himself. No wonder the old woman and the others did not dare to show up. Wasn't this trying to kill him, Lin Ling? While he was speechless, a large number of experts behind him were getting closer and closer. Lin Ling, run. If you have the ability, run far away. Damn it, you crippled my hell butterfly. Later, I will extract your body. Those people chased while cursing. They were very excited. Although the leader, Wen Nitian, did not say anything, the corners of his mouth curved into a sneer. In his eyes, the blue-robed young man in the distance was a treasure. He was a divine fetus body, and an innate divine fetus body. Even if they went to the major forbidden areas, they might not be able to obtain a divine fetus body. Chapter 4002. An army of thousands had come to meet him. Ha ha ha. Seeing Lin Ling approaching them, the experts could not help but burst out laughing. Even though some of them could not obtain the godly fetus body, they had heard that Lin Ling had a lot of treasures on him. He could be considered a treasure trove. As long as they participated in the hunt, they would be rewarded handsomely. Whoosh! However, as they were laughing, Lin Ling suddenly came to a stop and charged toward them. Before the crowd could react, he had grabbed a first-layer martial god and punched the guy a dozen times. In the end, the expert was beaten to death. This time, everyone stopped in their tracks. Their faces were unusually cold. Lin Ling was about to die, but he still grabbed someone to be his scapegoat. He was obviously trying to intimidate them. Lin Ling tossed the corpse to the side and looked at the group of people coldly. "Aren't you tired of chasing after me like a dead dog? Die. You're courting death." Hearing this, the experts were enraged. However, when Nidian, who was their leader, waved his hand to stop them from talking nonsense, he said calmly, "We're here on the orders of the gods to capture you. Lin Ling, you'd better surrender yourself. After all, I don't want to hurt our friendship." Friendship? Lin Ling did not even know them. They were here on orders to capture Lin Ling. Friendship? Friendship my ass. Lin Ling laughed and said word by word. He knew that this group of people were very strong, and he couldn't go against them at all right now. Moreover, even if he could, it wouldn't be long before even more experts would arrive. Therefore, it was going to be a tough battle. However, Lin Ling had decided that he would not give up until the last drop of blood was spilled. Very well. Since you don't care about our friendship, don't blame me. Remember, my name is Wen Nidian. Hearing this, Wen Nidian laughed sarcastically. Lin Ling did not appreciate his kindness. He shouted coldly, "Lu Fei, he injured you. Go and capture him. With your current strength, Lin Ling is no match for you." It's my honor." The young man named Lu Fei smiled and walked out slowly. He tilted his head and looked at Lin Ling. "Newcomers, King Lin Ling? Sorry, we're all experienced experts. You should call us seniors when you see us. Now, let us teach you a thing or two." As soon as he finished speaking, a huge amount of boundary energy was released from his body, causing him to be in high spirits. "Why didn't I see you so arrogant during the Battle of Phoenix Emperor Mountain?" Seeing this, Lin Ling laughed sarcastically. His words stunned Lu Fei. During the Battle of Phoenix Emperor Mountain, Lin Ling's strength was terrifying. He was probably ranked first on the heavenly stairway. At that time, they did not dare to challenge him. If Lin Ling had not used his full strength to kill Wendian martial god, they would not have had the chance today. "You don't dare to speak? If that's the case, why don't you come and fight me in a month's time? I'll give you 3 moves." Seeing Lu Fei's ugly expression, Lin Ling laughed again. This time, Lu Fei still did not dare to speak. A month later, Lin Ling would be unsealed. At that time, he would not be a match for him. "You don't dare to do this, you don't dare to do that. Is this what a senior is like?" Lin Ling finally shouted. His voice was like thunder, shocking Wen Nidian and the others. Their faces twisted as if they were humiliated by Lin Ling. Although they were powerful now, it was obvious that they only dared to be arrogant when Lin Ling was weak. How dare he call himself a senior with such a temperament? Clearly, he was just a joke. "You talk too much." Lu Fei was so humiliated that he could not speak, so he decided to attack. Seeing this, Lin Ling was also on guard. However, just as he was about to attack, a stream of light suddenly came from afar at a terrifying speed and appeared on Lu Fei's left side. Then, a huge cannon exploded violently and smashed into Lu Fei's left rib. Cannon fist. Rumble. The void exploded and shattered like glass. Then, a tall and sturdy man appeared in the void like a god. His legs were in a horse stance and he was in a punching posture. Lu Fei, on the other hand, was directly beaten up by others to the point that he vomited blood and was sent flying. This time, when Nidian and the others frowned and stared at the mysterious man. However, someone recognized him. "It's you, Cannon God. What's the meaning of this? This has nothing to do with you. Leave immediately." In the future, I'll pay you a visit and reward you handsomely. The person who recognized Canon God knew that he was no weakling. Therefore, he did not want him to help Lin Ling and cause trouble. However, Canon God snorted in disdain. Then, he looked at Lin Ling and knelt down on one knee. Leader, I came too late. Bang! The sound of him kneeling was like thunder, causing Wen Nidian and the others to widen their eyes. Leader? What the hell? In fact, even Lin Ling was shocked. Although he knew who Canon God was, he had said it himself in the ancient dragon wasteland. After leaving the ancient dragon wasteland, all alliances would be dissolved. Canon God, are you blind? You actually called him leader? Motherfucker, do you really want to go against us? In the distance, Lu Fei finally stopped flying. He pointed at Canon God and cursed. He had been shot for no reason, so naturally, he was not in a good mood. You're the one who's blind. However, at this moment, a cold voice came from behind him. Then, a divine eye appeared, causing space to distort. Next, a hand reached out from the distorted space and immediately grabbed Lu Fei, who had been taken seriously. The person who had grabbed his neck was a black-robed old man. The ninth god's eye. Seeing this, Lin Ling was shocked once again. His gaze swept across the entire space. Bang bang bang. Silhouettes began to appear one after another. More and more of them appeared, occupying the void like locusts. These people were powerful. Most importantly, there was a flag among them, with the words, God Slayer Alliance, written on it. Lin Ling's heart exploded, and his lips curled into a smile. Weren't these guys disbanded? Leader. Following which, all the experts shouted in unison. Looking into the distance, there were still many experts flying over. This was like an order, and thousands of soldiers and horses came to meet them. Countless experts appeared, numbering in the tens of thousands, surrounding Wen Nidian and the others. At this moment, Wen Nidian and the others' faces were as white as a sheet of paper. Hee, Lin Ling, long time no see. However, the God Slayer Alliance wasn't the only one. On the other side, another large group of people had arrived. Upon closer inspection, every single one of them was a domineering existence. Moreover, there was also a flag fluttering in the wind. Heaven and Earth Alliance. Another overlord of the ancient dragon wasteland had arrived. The leader was a young man in white armor, carrying a long spear on his shoulder. Leading the experts of the Tiandi League, he walked over with a smile. Chapter 4003. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios Stop them. Lin Ling, you sure run fast. If it wasn't for your demon-like bodyguard, we wouldn't have been able to find you. Today, we are here to help you under the orders of the martial god. Young man. The young man in the lead smiled faintly. However, when he glanced at the experts beside Lin Ling, he smiled helplessly and said, however, it's obvious that the martial god is worrying too much. Because some people came earlier than us. Yes. Looking at the sky full of experts, Wen Nidian and the rest finally trembled. They knew that they wouldn't be able to catch Lin Ling today. In fact, how were they going to escape? That was a huge problem. Damn it, where did this Lin Ling get so many people from? They couldn't help but stare at Lin Ling. The divine fetus was right in front of them. However, they couldn't touch it. You said that I was running away. Now, it seems like you're preparing to run away. At this moment, Lin Ling retracted his gaze and looked coldly at Wen Nidian and the rest. When Wen Nidian and the rest heard this, they quickly suppressed the anger in their hearts. Instead, they took in a deep breath. Some of the more cowardly ones were so scared that they almost knelt down. This was because there were close to 100,000 experts surrounding them. There were even a large number of martial god realm experts. No matter how strong they were, they wouldn't be able to cause any trouble. If I say that this is a misunderstanding, would you believe me? When Nidian finally couldn't hold it in any longer. However, as soon as he finished speaking, not to mention the people from the God Slayer Alliance, even the people beside him didn't believe him. Seeing that no one spoke, Wen Nidian cursed under his breath. Then, he smiled. However, it was just a smile. He looked at Lin Ling and said, "Actually, we can talk." However, no one spoke. Instead, the 100,000 experts looked at Wen Nidian coldly. An invisible and oppressive atmosphere surged. It was as if it could topple mountains and overturn seas. The experts beside Wen Nidian trembled. At this moment, they couldn't wait for Wen Nidian to stop talking nonsense. The more he spoke, the angrier the experts around them became. "Look at my hand." At this moment, Lin Ling finally raised his arm. This action caused Wen Nidian and the rest to shiver inexplicably. They were even more afraid now. "Wait!" Someone shouted in surprise. "The moment I wave my hand, your life and death will depend on luck." Unfortunately, Lin Ling ignored them and spoke indifferently. It was just a simple action, but it was enough to decide the fate of Wen Nidian and the others. This made them feel like they were dreaming. Because they chased after Lin Ling all the way here and almost controlled his life. However, in the end, before they could enjoy the pleasure of controlling life and death, their lives had fallen into the hands of another. "Lin Ling, if you have the ability, then let's fight one-on-one. If I win, then let me leave. What kind of hero are you if you rely on numbers?" Wen Nidian swallowed his saliva and said coldly. What kind of hero was he? Everyone laughed sarcastically. That being said, if Wen Nidian didn't borrow Lin Ling's power to be sealed, would he dare to capture Lin Ling? At that time, he didn't call himself a hero. Kill. Finally, Lin Ling waved his arm down as if he was waving the flag of an army. Fight. Wen Nidian and the others gritted their teeth. They knew that the situation was no longer up to them. Just as they were about to move, a giant cannon shot towards them. Rumble. Seeing this, a blue ruler appeared in Wen Nidian's hand. He looked at the giant cannon and swung it down. The two sides collided, and the terrifying power sent Wen Nidian flying. His dantian shook, but he still laughed. "Good, I will fight you for 300 rounds." As soon as he finished speaking, he aggressively held the blue ruler and wanted to fight with the person who had just arrived. However, that person smiled and didn't fight. On the other hand, the ninth god eye beside him stretched his neck and pounced. This was a tag team battle. When Nitian's eyes narrowed, and he was furious. "You are bullying me with numbers, and you want to take turns? I don't accept this. We don't care if you accept it or not. However, since you don't like tag team battles, we can give you a chance." Hearing this, the ninth god eye smiled faintly. "Okay, as long as it's not tag team battles, I will accept any other tactics," Wen Nidian quickly said. He was obviously trying to provoke these experts so that they wouldn't dare to surround and kill him. However, he didn't expect them to agree so quickly. "We don't need tag team battles, we use numbers to fight." However, the ninth god eye's next sentence made Wen Nidian vomit blood, and so did everyone around him. That was because a tag team battle was still fine, as the opponents would take turns to attack. However, if it was a sea of people, it would be a nightmare. It would be like 100,000 people attacking together. "Run." Wen Nidian spat out a mouthful of blood. He didn't care about anything else. He pulled the people behind him out to be his scapegoat, and then ran like crazy. Rumble. The people of the God Slayer Alliance attacked at the same time. Each spit was enough to drown Wen Nidian and the others. However, Wen Nidian was extremely cunning. He kept pulling the people around him to be his scapegoat. Finally, he used the chaos to escape. Lin Ling didn't pay any attention to that because if he, Lin Ling, was at his peak, then he could annihilate that ant with a single finger. "Thank you, everyone." Lin Ling looked at the people of the God Slayer Alliance with gratitude. Hee hee. All the leaders rubbed the back of their heads and chuckled. Lin Ling had always been the one to help them become stronger and become the overlords. Now, they finally had the chance to help their great leader. They felt that this was a great honor. Great leader, you should leave quickly. There will be more people coming soon. We will stay here and help you block those pursuers. Among the leaders, Chen Ting said with a smile. Okay. Lin Ling also knew that although his God Slayer alliance was strong, if the Heaven Glaze was attracted, the God Slayer alliance would be no match for it. Therefore, Lin Ling had to leave immediately. I will repay today's kindness in the future. Lin Ling bade farewell and flew into the distance. Great leader, when you come back, you must call us. Seeing Lin Ling leave, many leaders shouted. They had guessed that their great leader needed time to remove the seal. Once the seal was removed, their great leader would be able to return to the final world. Not long after Lin Ling left, a large number of experts came from behind. They were the people of the new heavenly court. What are you doing here? Get out of the way. When the people of the new heavenly court saw the countless experts of the God Slayer alliance, their faces turned ugly. This was because these people were blocking the path ahead. We are looking at the stars. On the side of the God Slayer alliance, laughter rang out in unison. It was so orderly that it shook the entire universe. Looking at the stars? Chapter 4004. A mysterious interface. The most disgusting thing was that these members of the God Slayer alliance only blocked their path and didn't attack. This was also to anger them to death. Make way. Some experts of the new heavenly court couldn't hold it in any longer. Look at the stars. Look at my ass. You won't even let us look at the stars. That's too overbearing. However, if you want us to make way for you, there's no way. If you want to fight, then fight. If you don't want to fight, then scram. The ninth god Ai's voice drifted out, brimming with tyranny. The members of the new heavenly court immediately fell silent. Fight. They couldn't win. Moreover, if the God Slayer alliance managed to stall for time, by that time, Lin Ling would have already escaped to God knows where. However, if they didn't fight, they obviously couldn't chase after Lin Ling. You bunch of trash. Cowards. Come, brothers, let's drink and watch this group of cowards. Seeing that the new heavenly court's people didn't dare to attack and were only trembling in anger, the God Extermination Alliance's people sat down on the ground and started drinking. Their goal was to cover their leader's escape. They would delay for as long as they could. If the other party didn't dare to fight, they would be happy not to fight. As for the final world, Luli Empress stood on top of a mountain peak and looked at the sky as if she could see through the sun, moon, and stars. A jade talisman appeared in her hand, and a voice kept drifting out of it. It was talking about everything about Lin Ling. She never imagined that Lin Ling didn't plan on staying in the final world. His opposition was to leave the final world, and this clearly disrupted her plans. Because she estimated that as long as Lin Ling still appeared in the final world, then his first purpose must be to return to Snow-Blowing City. Therefore, she heavily guarded the area around Snow-Blowing City. As long as Lin Ling dared to appear, she could capture Lin Ling before the experts of Snow-Blowing City found him. But who would have thought that Lin Ling did not go to Snow City at all? Instead, he went to Heaven Pass City and rushed out of the void under the obstruction of a large number of experts. A bunch of trash. Tian Liuli's complexion was incomparably gloomy. This was because she knew that once Lin Ling left the final world, he would be like a bird flying through the skies. Even if she knew where Lin Ling was, once she sent someone to capture him, Lin Ling would likely have escaped without a trace. It was like playing hide and seek. Their new heavenly court could only be led by the nose by Lin Ling. At this moment, Lin Ling was leaping through the void. When he saw that there were no more pursuers behind him, Lin Ling finally relaxed. However, his eyes were cold. Right now, his strength was sealed. However, the moment the seal was undone, he would inevitably return to the final world, vowing to trigger a great disturbance. Although Luli Empress was very powerful and could borrow the life of a god, if Lin Ling met Lei Gong, why would he be afraid of Luli Empress? The strength of my physical body has also recovered by about 70 to 80%. Only the realm essence in my dantian is left. One day later, Lin Ling finally sensed that the powerful strength in his body had recovered. And he also appeared in the region of the Western world. He was running around randomly because he knew that the seal in his body could be sensed by Luli Empress. Therefore, he couldn't stay in one place for too long. However, Lin Ling also took it as a vacation in passing. After running along the Western world for an entire month, Lin Ling appeared in an extremely ancient void. His eyes also flickered. Because according to his speed, he was already very far away from the 9 provinces in this 1 month's journey. However, he didn't expect that this Western world seemed to have no end. Until now, Lin Ling still hadn't reached the end. Very clearly, this myriad worlds was much larger than he, Lin Ling, had imagined. What a familiar power. Then, Lin Ling's gaze suddenly landed on a world. Because from that world, he sensed a familiar power. This power was grand and powerful like the brilliant might of heaven. Moreover, standing in the void, he could faintly hear Sanskrit continuously floating out. The power of Buddha God. Lin Ling's heart trembled. It seemed that this myriad worlds wasn't as weak as he had imagined. That world was probably somewhat extraordinary. Thinking like this, Lin Ling leaped down towards that world. And just as he arrived at this world, Lin Ling sensed a rich power of Buddha God. However, after sensing it carefully, that power of Buddha God wasn't pure. It even carried an indescribable grand power. Lin Ling had an illusion that this power was very similar to his step of great wisdom. Bang! Lin Ling finally landed and smashed into a mountain, causing the mountain to shatter. Because he had once again put on the dragon god armor, he was also constantly stimulating the potential of the armor. Therefore, after he smashed down, the mountain couldn't bear his weight. Rumble. Amidst the rubble, Lin Ling slowly walked out with a smile. Then, he walked along the tall and dense forest. After walking for 2 hours, Lin Ling appeared at the top of a huge ancient tree. He stood there quietly, his blue robe fluttering in the wind. Below the ancient tree, the golden white evil spirit was like a loyal bodyguard, standing there quietly and motionlessly. Lin Ling looked into the distance. There was an endless sea of trees in front of him. When the wind blew, layers of trees rolled like waves. It was extremely spectacular. In the end, these waves formed by the wind passed over Lin Ling and disappeared into the distance. And in that wind, Lin Ling also sensed that the power of Buddha God was even stronger. Then, Lin Ling's gaze suddenly fell on the endless sea of trees. Finally, there were traces of people there. He saw a woodcutter carrying firewood, singing a mountain song, and walking along the mountain path in a carefree manner. Interesting. Interesting. Lin Ling's eyes flashed, and he felt a little strange in his heart. This was because he clearly sensed that the woodcutter was very weak, but there was a mysterious power of Buddha God on the woodcutter. The power of Buddha God seemed to be protecting him. At that moment, Lin Ling disappeared from the ancient tree and reappeared not far from the woodcutter. Then, he smiled and walked forward. "Big brother, where is this place?" The woodcutter was stunned by the voice. After seeing Lin Ling, he couldn't help but smile. "This is the Dao Forest." Dao Forest? Lin Ling's eyes flashed, and then he bowed to the woodcutter. Although the woodcutter looked very ordinary, Lin Ling felt that he was somewhat unfathomable. "This is also the Tilted Moon 3-star realm. May I know what business you have here?" The woodcutter smiled at Lin Ling, and his attitude towards Lin Ling was very polite. Lin Ling didn't expect the people of this realm to be so hospitable. He immediately smiled and said, "I'm here to learn from a master. May I know if there are any experts in this realm?" There are many people who come here to learn from masters." However, if you want to learn from a master, you can go east. There is the ancestor of Buddha Dao there, and he is very powerful. If you can become his disciple, then you will definitely achieve the great Dao. The woodcutter smiled and said, however, the ancestor of Buddha Dao rarely accepts disciples, so you don't have to be too hopeful. As the saying goes, if it's fated, then it will be. If it's not fated, then don't force it. Thank you, big brother. Chapter 4005. Buddha Dao City. What an interesting person. Lin Ling's heart sank as he watched the woodcutter leave. However, he soon discovered that the woodcutter had disappeared. It was as if he had disappeared into the vast sea of trees. During the entire process, Lin Ling did not notice it at all. I didn't expect that just by randomly wandering around, would end up in an ancient world. Lin Ling curiously followed the woodcutter's directions and headed east. Naturally, he did not come here to find a master. He was just curious about the Buddha God's power in this world. According to what he knew, the worlds in the 10,000 worlds could not be compared to the 9 continents. However, this world was clearly different. Therefore, it was very likely that this was a place where experts lived in seclusion. As he headed east, the number of people on the road increased. 2 hours later, with Lin Ling's speed, he finally arrived at a huge city. This city blocked the road ahead because behind the ancient city were towering mountains. White clouds fluttered in the air, making it impossible for people to know where to go. Lin Ling was also lost. Therefore, he decided to gather information in the ancient city. What surprised him was that this ancient city was called Buddha Dao City. Buddha Dao, it seemed to be Dao before Buddha. Martial Dao was also Dao, Buddhist Dao was also Dao. Dao and Buddha seemed to have the same root. After entering the city, Lin Ling felt a mysterious power enveloping the entire ancient city. The people in the city believed in Buddha Dao. Looking at the statue, the so-called Buddha God was dressed like an ancient Taoist. It had a kind face and 2 extremely long eyebrows. Moreover, after so many years, because of the belief, there was a mysterious power in the sky of Buddha Dao City. This power seemed to be floating like auspicious clouds. However, if it encountered a martial artist who could control this power, then this power could become a powerful attack. Unfortunately, the people of Buddha Dao City didn't notice this. Although there were people who practiced martial arts, their strength was very ordinary. As for the shops on the streets, there were also quite a number of martial arts and Taoist manuals for sale. Therefore, the martial arts atmosphere in the ancient city was rather ferocious. Lin Ling naturally didn't care about those ordinary Taoist books, so he didn't pay attention to them. After searching for a while, he didn't find any experts in the ancient city, so he found a restaurant to rest temporarily. The restaurant was called the Taoist Restaurant, and the business inside was very good. There's more to this world than meets the eye. The air is making me uncomfortable. After sitting down, the giant ghost said to Lin Ling. Moreover, Lin Ling also noticed that the golden white evil ghost also looked uncomfortable. It seemed that the Buddhist chi had affected them greatly. Bear with it. After all, I'm just passing by. Lin Ling immediately laughed. Because of Tian Liuli, he would not stay in any place for too long. At present, Lin Ling's physical strength had been completely restored, and with the help of the dragon god armor, it was also slowly increasing. However, the seal of Jia Yuan was still very strong. Relying on the devouring of the evil ghost jellyfish, this speed was still too slow. Sir, what would you like to order? Soon, the waiter walked over with a smile and looked at Lin Ling from head to toe. He could naturally see that Lin Ling's attire didn't seem to be a local. Good wine and good dishes, bring them all up. Lin Ling immediately laughed and asked, do you accept gold here? His treasures were all sealed, so he could only find some gold. Of course, for the people in this city, gold seemed to be the most suitable for trading. Yes. The waiter's pupils constricted. How could they not accept gold? because most people who came to eat usually gave silver. However, he was also a little suspicious of Lin Ling, so he smiled and said, "I wonder how much gold do you have?" Lin Ling waved his right hand, and a large amount of gold immediately scattered on the table. These gold were all found by him along the way in the mines in the mountains. After sprinkling it, the waiter's body trembled and he almost wet himself. Then, his mouth smiled like a crescent moon, almost reaching his ears. He said respectfully, "Sir, what wine and dishes do you want?" "I'll bring them all. The best wine, the best meat." Lin Ling also smiled and casually tipped the waiter with a few pieces of gold. To martial artists like them, gold was actually nothing more than dung. However, to the waiter and the others, this was a huge sum of money. He almost knelt down and called him ancestor. Then, he immediately ran out and took the lead to heat up the wine for Lin Ling. Then, he came up with the wine pot. Lin Ling took the wine pot and poured himself a cup. He drank it gently. The taste was not bad. Although it was not very strong, it had a fragrance. This is Dao fragrance wine, brewed from Dao fruits. When the waiter saw Lin Ling's appearance, he suddenly laughed. Lin Ling tipped another piece of gold, making the surrounding guests green with envy. Then, Lin Ling asked, "Are there any Daoist temples nearby?" He saw that the people in the city believed in Dao, Buddha, and God, so he guessed that there should be some Daoist temples. "Yes, yes, yes. However, sir, you must have come from afar and want to pay your respects to Dao, Buddha, and God. I heard that Dao, Buddha, and God are in the clouds of Mount Zhongnan. Only those who are fated with Dao and Buddha can see them." The waiter said with a face full of admiration. However, over the years, many people have wanted to see the Dao, Buddha, and God and learn the great skills. However, because of fate, most of them ended up with no results. Instead, many people died in the deep mountains and forests. "Oh." Lin Ling's eyes flashed and he said with a smile, "I wonder where Mount Zhongnan is." "Due south." "Yes." The waiter pointed at the window and Lin Ling noted it down. Then, Lin Ling drove the waiter away and drank alone. Although the myriad worlds are weak, there are many ancient legends about gods. If that Tao God really exists, then he must have existed since the era of gods. "Yes." The giant ghost whispered from the side. Because it was hidden in Lin Ling's clothes, no one noticed it. "Yes, although the current era is the era of the 4 great gods, how can there only be 4 in the vast universe?" "Yes." Lin Ling nodded. As far as he knew, there were 2 gods. One was treasure god Nan Wufengyu, and the other was god Emperor Zhang Gang. Moreover, there was another person in his heart, the blue-robed youth who recommended him to Qing province. Lin Ling guessed that this youth was also a god. Moreover, Venerable Si Kaming was following this youth, and he didn't know how he was doing right now. The universe was vast and boundless, and it was broad and profound. Many things were not as simple as they appeared to be. Other things aside, the birthplace of God, Wuxia, that Lin Ling guessed, was probably hiding endless secrets. Chapter 4006. Buying a guard. Seeing this, Lin Ling couldn't help but laugh. The young master and his 4 guards sat down casually. His gaze swept across the room and suddenly fell on Lin Ling's side. Then, he actually walked over to them. Lin Ling was confused, he didn't understand why the young master was walking over. "Hey, is this your guard?" The young master stopped and narrowed his eyes. "Eh?" Lin Ling was even more confused. At the same time, he looked at the golden white evil spirit behind him and nodded, "Yes, do you have any objections?" "No, your guard has caught my eye. I want to buy it, name a price." Who would have thought that the young master was here to buy a guard? Lin Ling couldn't help but laugh. This was the first time he encountered such a strange situation. He asked, "Why are you interested in my guard?" One must know that the golden white evil spirit was wearing a cloak that concealed its aura. Although it was tall, it was impossible to determine its strength. Unless the young master's eyes were very sharp, he could see the golden white evil spirit's strength. Because it's tall. In the end, the young master nodded directly. So, it was really because of its height. Lin Ling was speechless and said, "I'm sorry, I can't afford this guard no matter how much money I have." The golden white evil spirit was a martial god realm evil spirit. Naturally, it wasn't something these mortals could buy. However, the young master misunderstood Lin Ling's meaning and suddenly said proudly, 100,000 gold taels. The moment these words fell, the entire restaurant was shocked. 100,000 gold taels to buy a guard? You could buy a small town with that amount of money. Hearing this, Lin Ling still shook his head. 100,000 gold taels? If he had the heart to go mining, he could get 1,000,000 gold taels in an incense stick's time. Seeing this, the young master raised the price again, 300,000 gold taels. This was a sky-high price. The entire restaurant was in an uproar. If they had that guard, they would have offered it up with both hands long ago. However, Lin Ling still shook his head. This time, the young master was dumbfounded. Not even selling for 300,000 gold taels. He glared at Lin Ling and saw that Lin Ling was smiling without saying anything. In the end, he also knew that the guard couldn't afford it. However, just as he was about to turn around and leave, a crafty and harsh voice suddenly sounded. "Young Master Lin, I have to say that you are really rich. If you want guards, I can sell them to you. Why would you want to sell some embroidered pillows that look tall and mighty but are actually useless?" In the restaurant, a young man who seemed to have an extraordinary identity laughed. An embroidered pillow? Everyone immediately knew that the person he was talking about was naturally the tall bodyguard behind Lin Ling. "Your guards don't look very tall." The radish-headed young master immediately looked over and his gaze landed on the two guards behind the young man. However, compared to Lin Ling's guards, the two guards were indeed not tall and fierce. Guards are used to protect themselves. Being tall and big is useless. You have to know how to fight and resist. It's not that I look down on the tall bodyguard, but that kind of trash can be dealt with by my guard with one punch," the young man said contemptuously. His words also made Lin Ling look at him. However, Lin Ling sensed a strong Buddha's power from him, and that Buddha's power came from the jade pendant hanging around the young man's neck. "Sir, where did you buy that jade pendant?" Lin Ling's eyes flashed as he asked immediately. "Your dog eyes are not bad. My jade pendant has been blessed by the Buddha. Naturally, it is not an ordinary item. However, do I have to answer your question? I usually don't talk to characters like cats and dogs." The young man drank and immediately said disdainfully. Lin Ling shook his head. Naturally, he wouldn't argue with such a small character. He was only curious about the origin of the jade pendant. "However, I will give you a chance." However, at this moment, the young man took the initiative to talk to Lin Ling again. "What chance?" Lin Ling looked at him with a faint smile. When the young man heard that, he immediately revealed an unfathomable smile. "I will give you a chance to act tough. If your guard can withstand one punch from my guard, I will tell you where the jade pendant came from." It was obvious that he wanted to sell his guard to the radish-head young master. He wanted to use Lin Ling's guard to prove himself. However, this was normal. Of course, he wanted to sell his guard for 300,000 taels of gold. Hearing that, Lin Ling said with a smile, "Are you sure you want to fight with my guard?" Haha. The young man also laughed and looked at Lin Ling with contempt. Then, he looked at the radish-head young master and said, "I will show you what a real guard is. Longhu, show them." As soon as he finished speaking, the two guards behind him immediately walked out. They were 1.8 meters tall and had solid muscles. Then, their bodies shook. Crash. Their clothes were torn apart, revealing their rock-like muscles. The crowd gasped in fear. How ferocious! The young man was obviously enjoying the crowd's surprise. He said calmly, "My dragon guard and tiger guard are all capable of fighting against 100 enemies. They once killed Nan Shan Hu alone." Wow! Without a doubt, another uproar broke out. Before the crowd could finish speaking, a saber appeared in the young man's hand and slashed at one of the guards. Clang! The saber was broken, but the guard was fine. That's too impressive. He is impenetrable. The astonished voices in the restaurant grew louder. The young man nodded proudly. Do you see that? This is a Real guard. Look at that embroidered pillow. It's not that I'm looking down on him, but he really knows nothing about the word guard. Kid, do you know how powerful I am now? After saying that, he glanced at Lin Ling and said. Lin Ling shook his head helplessly. He finally signaled the platinum demon behind him with his eyes. The platinum demon slowly stepped forward and walked toward the two bulky guards. So what if you are bulky? I think after my punch, these guards will be so scared that they will kneel and beg for mercy. Seeing the platinum demon walking toward them, the two guards had a look of disdain. At that moment, the platinum demon moved. It did not seem to do much, but it gently lifted its cloak. Instantly, the face of an evil spirit appeared. Moreover, it was only visible to the two guards. The moment they saw it, the arrogant guard turned pale with fright. Oh my God! Spare me, it looks like it wants to eat me. They roared in unison and fell to the ground in fright. One of them even wet his pants, while the other scrambled to hide behind the young man. His body was trembling. The crowd was dumbfounded. Aren't guards supposed to protect their masters? Why are they hiding behind their masters? Furthermore, why are the guards who can kill a tiger so scared that they wet themselves? As for the young man, he was dumbfounded. Just as he was about to roar, the platinum demon walked toward him and lifted its cloak again. Ah! The young man was furious, but when he saw the platinum demon's appearance, his mouth opened wide and his pupils bulged. Following that, urine kept dripping from between his legs. That scared me. Chapter 4007. An ancient great god. Silence. The restaurant instantly fell into a deathly silence. Although they didn't know what had happened, everyone could tell that the tall guard was very powerful. He didn't need to use force. Just by looking at him, he seemed to have scared the three people to the point of peeing their pants. Now, can you tell me where your jade pendant came from? At this moment, Lin Ling also smiled as he looked at the young man. Brother, ancestor, brother, hero, no, father. The young man hid under the table and said in a sobbing voice, "Can you take this monster away first?" Seeing this, Lin Ling gave the golden white evil spirit a look, and the golden white evil spirit slowly walked back. I'll tell you. I bought it from the Bodhi cave. My father knew a Tao child there, so he bought it from him. Only then did the young man shout anxiously, as if he was afraid that he would be eaten by the golden white evil spirit if he was too slow. Where is the Bodhi cave? Lin Ling asked again. Mount Zhongnan. The young man replied. It was Zhongnan Mountain again. It seemed that he had to make a trip to this place. Without any intention of staying, Lin Ling left with the golden white demon. But the moment he walked out of the restaurant, he suddenly stopped and asked with a smile, I wonder whose guard is an embroidered pillow? His words caused the restaurant to fall silent. The young man opened his mouth. In truth, there was no need for him to answer. Everyone knew whose guard was the real embroidered pillow. Wait for me. As for the radish-headed young master, he came to his senses and rushed out of the restaurant to find Lin Ling. However, when he rushed out, he didn't see anyone. Lin Ling had already disappeared. This made him feel extremely regretful. He knew that he had missed out on an expert with remarkable abilities. At this moment, Lin Ling had already appeared in the sky. He looked in a certain direction and then flew over. He was getting more and more curious about Mount Zhongnan. Lin Ling's speed was very fast. It didn't take long for him to reach the sky above the endless mountains outside the city. However, just as he was flying in the direction of Zhongnan Mountain, a powerful force suddenly surged and submerged Lin Ling's body. It made his body feel as heavy as 1,000 caddies, and he could no longer fly. Bang! Lin Ling finally smashed into the ground, and his expression changed greatly. His current physical strength had reached the power of 40,000 worlds. Destroying this world was a simple matter. However, that power was able to suppress him. Furthermore, he could clearly see that the power was the clouds in the sky. There are indeed experts in this world. Bodhi Cave, Tao, Buddha, and God. Lin Ling said in shock. After that, he stopped flying and walked towards the direction of Mount Zhongnan. However, even though he was walking, that kind of power was still not weak. It made Lin Ling feel like he could not move an inch. Moreover, Lin Ling could clearly smell the scent of sandalwood around his body. He could also hear the chanting of Buddhist scriptures. In the direction of his gaze, the mountain in front of him shone with a treasure light. The treasure light soared into the sky, forming waves of strange Tao seals. Testing me? Lin Ling instantly understood the enemy's intention. He clenched his teeth and continued to advance along the ancient mountain. The mountain was vast, as if there was no end. As Lin Ling continued to advance, the mysterious pressure became stronger and stronger. If it was anyone else, they would have long given up. However, Lin Ling had practiced martial arts since he was young. His perseverance and tenacity were extraordinary. Once he decided on something, he would not turn back until he hit the mountain. Right now, he wanted to see what secrets this Mount Zhongnan was hiding. Unknowingly, spring passed and autumn came. Flowers bloomed and withered. The ancient mountain was first green and lush. Then, the scorching sun hung high in the sky. Following that, the flowers and plants withered and turned yellow. Finally, snow sealed the mountain. However, in the mountain, two lonely figures, one in front and one behind, continued to advance towards Mount Zhongnan. After an unknown period of time, a huge statue finally appeared in front of them. This statue was hidden in the endless mountain. Only the upper part could be seen. However, it was magnificent and huge. It was even more majestic than the ancient mountain. Lin Ling also raised his eyes. His eyes lit up. He had finally arrived. That ancient stone statue was the image of a Buddha. It was exactly the same as the one enshrined in the city. The statue sat there quietly, as if it was looking at the entire universe. Its body was simple and modeled. However, Lin Ling felt an extremely familiar power from it. Those who enter my door, kowtow for 3,000 years. A voice that was as majestic as the heavens suddenly sounded in Lin Ling's heart. Lin Ling's pupils constricted. It was obvious that he had gained the recognition of the Taoist, Buddha, and God by walking all the way to Mount Zhongnan. Moreover, the other party had taken him, Lin Ling, as a disciple. Because, those who enter my door, kowtow for 3,000 years. Master, I wonder which door this is and why you want to take me as a disciple. Lin Ling frowned and suddenly asked. Because from the beginning, he had only come out of curiosity. However, he did not expect that the more he dug, the more he felt that this place was mysterious. Now, the other party suddenly wanted to take him as a disciple. He clearly could not react in time. This is the Bodhi door, 3 stars realm. The huge Taoist Buddha god finally opened his eyes, and an ancient majestic aura emanated from him. I am Patriarch Bodhi. Patriarch Bodhi. Lin Ling's pupils trembled fiercely. It was actually an ancient deity. Naturally, he had heard of this name before. Patriarch Bodhi was an ancient mythical figure in Wuxia. Not only was he the master of the great sage, heaven's equal, but he was also an extremely mysterious existence in the entire world of gods. According to legends, Patriarch Bodhi was a great deity who had existed since the creation of heaven and earth. Moreover, he did not have many disciples. However, each of them was an extremely powerful existence in the mythical era. Lin Ling could not help but feel confused. Firstly, he did not expect that there would really be an ancient deity in the universe. Secondly, he did not expect to meet an ancient deity by randomly wandering around and be accepted as a disciple by the other party. All of this was too sudden. It felt unreal. You cultivate the Bodhi Dao proving divine technique. This is the fate between you and me. In fact, you did not accidentally barge in here. It was the Bodhi Dao proving divine technique that brought you here. In today's world, there are 49 people who cultivate this divine technique. Only 18 people have found this place. The great Tao of the universe has karma. For you to be here, that is karma. Perhaps, all of this is related to the will of the world. The old voice floated over again. It was as if an ancient deity was looking at a child. That child was Lin Ling. Lin Ling sucked in a breath of cold air. He digested the information he had learned. Finally, he faced the distant mountain and kowtowed. Disciple greets master. Bodhi Dao proving divine technique was purchased from the shop of gods. Very few people knew about this. However, Patriarch Bodhi was very clear about it. Based on this point alone, Lin Ling believed him. Furthermore, Patriarch Bodhi was a Buddha deity. This meant that he was proficient in both Tao and Buddhism. You are quite astute. After so many years, among the disciples I have taken in, only that monkey is comparable to you. However, you are not my disciple yet. Chapter 4008. Kowtowing in front of Buddha for 3,000 years, looking back on the mortal world and not becoming an immortal. Junior understands. Lin Ling lifted his head and stared at the ancient great god. From the stone sculpture, he could feel a sacred aura. This aura was even stronger than the aura of Emperor God Zhang Gang and the others in the past. Patriarch Bodhi. His mind was filled with thoughts. At present, he was sure that he did not accidentally break into this place, but was brought here by the Bodhi Dao confirming divine art. It could even be said that Patriarch Bodhi had personally brought him here. Then, Lin Ling smiled bitterly in his heart. This was the master of the great sage, heaven's equal. He did not expect to meet such a character in this life. It had to be known that in ancient myths, this ancient great god was comparable to the legendary Buddha. Moreover, Patriarch Bodhi and Buddha were fellow disciples of the same sect. In ancient times, he was also known as Daoist Juanti. But no matter what, it was rare to meet such an ancient great god. Lin Ling naturally would not miss this opportunity. Lin Ling also had a feeling that this ancient great god suddenly meeting him was related to the will of the world. Kowtow in front of Buddha for 3,000 years. As Lin Ling was pondering, Patriarch Bodhi's voice floated over again. Then, the huge statue in the distance finally dimmed and returned to being an ordinary statue. Lin Ling was surprised at first, but he instantly understood. If he wanted to become Patriarch Bodhi's disciple, he needed to kowtow in front of Buddha for 3,000 years. In this life, Lin Ling did not bow to the heavens or the earth. But to this ancient great god, Patriarch Bodhi, he felt that it was worth bowing to. After all, this ancient great god came from China. In his heart, he was also someone from Lin Ling's hometown. Immediately, Lin Ling knelt down. To a martial artist, 3,000 years was not a long time. But to Lin Ling, it was all the time he had to practice martial arts. So when he knelt down, all kinds of memories suddenly rose around Lin Ling ancient face sect, Heaven Mystics Kingdom, 7 profound martial house, 6 great holy lands, the 3 mysteries of the human world, gradually to Qing province, Spirit province, Yen province, and the final world. Life was like a mayfly dream. Looking back at everything, it was as if everything was just floating clouds. Only by severing one's mortal roots could one achieve the great Tao. Lin Ling's heart suddenly trembled. Only now did he know that the so-called 3,000 years of kowtowing before Buddha was not to test Lin Ling's sincerity, but to make Lin Ling forget everything that had happened in the past 3,000 years. By severing all of his memories, he would be able to step onto the Great Tao and take Patriarch Subhuti as his master. The so-called Great Tao was nothing. Possessing a person's memories was not considered nothingness. How could it be called the Great Tao? The so-called Great Tao was absolute emptiness. Severing everything from mortals and clearing everything from mortals was the true Great Tao. The true Great Tao could also be seen as a gust of wind, a leaf, a mountain, or even a speck of dust. Lin Ling's heart was constantly shaken, and his pupils were also constantly changing. If he could become a disciple of an ancient great god, his future would be limitless. He, Lin Ling, would be able to surpass the era of gods and become a god from the ancient era. However, to make him forget the past 3,000 years? Yu, Xian Yuan Gu, Lin Yi, Grandpa, Qin Xiaolan, Lu Susu, and the others who were waiting for Lin Ling's return in Qingzhou, as well as the years of battle in the past. He had to forget Tian Liuli. Bang! Lin Ling suddenly stood up. His back was straight, and his gaze was like lightning. He raised his head to look at the ancient stone statue, and there was a look of rejection in his eyes. He obviously couldn't do it. "Senior, I'm sorry," Lin Ling said in a low voice. Then, he bowed slightly, looked at the endless mountain, and turned to continue forward. After kowtowing before Buddha for 3,000 years, he would not be a deity when he looked back on the mortal world. If he, Lin Ling, had to give up everything for the past 3,000 years for the sake of the ancient Great Tao, Lin Ling would rather stay in the mortal world. This was also Lin Ling's own Tao. Sigh. In the sky, a long sigh came and gradually disappeared. However, in the lonely mountain, Lin Ling went back the way he came. Wearing a large cloak, he was like a lonely and determined martial artist in the vast world, searching for the limits of the martial Tao. Every disciple of mine is different. Wukong entered Buddhism through Tao. This is his great Tao. He entered Tao through martial arts. This is also his great Tao. The ancient voice drifted through the sky like the wind. Unfortunately, the man in the distance didn't hear it. He was leaving the ancient myth step by step. Spring went and autumn came, flowers bloomed and wilted. At the foot of the ancient mountain, the man gradually seemed to disappear from the world. In the ancient mountain, countless ancient trees towered into the clouds, green and lush. The sound of Sanskrit drifted across the sky like a gust of wind, causing the dense leaves to ripple like waves in the sea. The endless Sanskrit quietly entered Lin Ling's body, cleansing everything. The seal in his body bloomed with a red light, sacred and supreme. Then, the light turned yellow. Looking carefully, two Bodhi lights, one red and one yellow, appeared in the man's dantian, constantly expelling the seal. At this moment, in the void above the Western world, a large number of figures appeared there. The person in the lead was valiant and formidable, wearing a white dress. Her every movement carried an irresistible might of heaven and earth. Her eyes carefully looked at the nearby interfaces, but her brows furrowed. And she was Luli Empress. Disappeared. However, what made her unhappy was that Lin Ling's aura had disappeared. He had disappeared in the nearby interfaces. She was shocked. Could it be that Lin Ling had broken the seal? However, even if he had broken the seal, she should still be able to sense Lin Ling's aura. Unless someone was helping Lin Ling. Destroy all of these realms. Then, Luli Empress coldly shouted. Behind him, a terrifying aura spread out, bringing with it destruction. It was as if it was going to destroy all the nearby realms. However, at this moment, an invisible big hand appeared in front of Luli Empress's eyes and kept expanding, slowly grabbing towards her. Luli Empress's pupils constricted. Her gaze turned, but she discovered that she did not sense that big hand grabbing towards her and was still rushing towards the various interfaces. However, she saw it. And discovered that she was imprisoned and could not move at all. Her mind instantly shook, remembering what her master had said to her before. Because of the appearance of the world's will, many ancient great gods had already awakened. Forget it, go back. Go. She suddenly let out a low shout. Empress. Go. The people who were originally rushing forward all frowned at this moment. Because, they wanted to destroy the nearby interfaces and search for Lin Ling, but the Empress suddenly said to go back. Yes. Go. Then, they did not dare to disobey that order and immediately flew back towards the Empress. At the same time, Luli Empress discovered that the mysterious big hand suddenly disappeared. That big hand appeared as if it was invisible, but it also disappeared without a trace. With her strength, she actually did not sense it at all. Cold sweat quietly flowed out of her forehead. Chapter 4009. The power had returned. Go back. Then, Luli Empress said indifferently. She took a deep look at the ancient void and left with her people. In the ancient mountains, Lin Ling led the golden white evil spirit and the others forward. After an unknown period of time, an ancient city finally appeared in front of them. It was the Buddha Dao city. Looking at the bustling city, Lin Ling immediately felt as if he had returned to the human world. He couldn't help but look back at the endless mountains and shake his head helplessly. I'm back. Lin Ling's lips curled into a smile. Although he had missed out on the ancient grand god, Lin Ling felt even better for some reason. It was as though a huge burden had been lifted off his shoulders. Gods are also divided into ranks. That one could be said to be an ancient great god. The giant ghost suddenly said with a solemn expression. He had always been vicious, but at this moment, he revealed a rare solemn expression. I know, and I know even more about his background. Hearing this, Lin Ling chuckled, causing the giant ghost's expression to change. It looked at Lin Ling in disbelief, because even it didn't know the specific origin of that ancient great god, but Lin Ling knew his origin. It had been by Lin Ling's side for quite some time and had witnessed Lin Ling's various miracles with its own eyes. This made it very curious. Could it be that Lin Ling was really the reincarnation of some god? Otherwise, how could he know the origin of that ancient god? Seeing the giant ghost's shocked expression, Lin Ling shrugged, not bothering to explain. The reason why he knew about it was naturally not because he was the reincarnation of some ancient god, but because he had read too many mythological novels and television dramas when he was young. However, this also made him certain that Wuxia was the birthplace of God. Let's go back. After that, Lin Ling's mood became very good. However, after taking a few steps, Lin Ling was shocked to discover that the seal in his body had been undone. Terrifying world essence surged within his 6 dantians, allowing him to go from a mortal to a deity in a single step. The seal is broken. Lin Ling could not help but become excited. The powerful force in his body made Lin Ling feel like he was in control of the entire world. The 2 divine embryos, the various ultimate desolate physiques, and the surging realm essence made him feel that he could easily defeat a middle-stage martial god. He even estimated that he had already charged into the top 100 of the divine ranking. I didn't expect that I would encounter such an opportunity by accident. If I didn't come here, I'm afraid that it would take a few more years for my seal to be lifted. Lin Ling sighed as he looked at the sky. It was as though he was looking at the endless void. Then, a cold smile appeared on his face. Tian Liuli wanted to catch him, but she clearly failed. And after Jia Yuan recovered, unless Tian Liuli personally came, it would not be difficult for Lin Ling to escape unscathed even if he could not defeat the other experts. Tian Liuli should be a trial taker and her level is not low. She is highly valued by the deities. Lin Ling said in a low voice. Tian Liuli had been cultivating for too long, and she was the most powerful of the 3 from the Tian family. The difficulty of killing her had doubled. However, Lin Ling did not mind. That was because others needed 10,000 years to reach the martial god realm from an ordinary warrior. However, Lin Ling only needed 3,000 years. If Lin Ling was given 10,000 years, Lin Ling would have long surpassed Tian Liuli. Lin Ling had the Chaos Divine skill, so his potential was definitely several times stronger than Tian Liuli. Qingzhou and Snow City have Lei Gong's protection. I'm not in a hurry to return. Why don't I increase my strength here? Then, Lin Ling sat down cross-legged and slowly began to comprehend. Beside him, the giant ghost also revealed a rare smile. It was happy for Lin Ling because it knew that Lin Ling had experienced many hardships during this period of time to recover his full strength. If it was anyone else, they would have given up long ago and been captured alive by Tian Liuli. And this was the price of destroying a deity. Destroying one of the 9 provinces' 10 great martial gods would definitely require some sort of price. After all, with Lin Ling's current strength, it was not enough to fight against the 9 provinces' 10 great martial gods. However, Lin Ling had done it. He had even escaped unscathed. This kid might be able to bring me back to the last level of the 8-god celestial palace. The giant ghost was looking forward to Lin Ling even more. It faintly felt that the current era was slowly recovering. Looking at the trend, it was actually half as glorious as the era of the deities. And in the recovering era, experts would be born in the ancient void like carps crossing the river. Some people ventured into forbidden lands and obtained great opportunities. Their strength was on a completely different level. Some people rushed into God's legacy grounds and obtained the inheritance of a deity, reaching the heavens in a single step. The era was quietly rising, and the era of its peak was slowly appearing. However, the more prosperous the era, the more likely it was that a star would appear. The giant ghost could not help but look at Lin Ling, who was cultivating. Its eyes were twinkling because this was definitely a new deity that had appeared. This made it feel like it had returned to a long, long time ago. Its remnant memories seemed to be telling it that it had experienced such exciting times back then. 6 Dantians. 2 divine embryos, 4 ultimate desolate bodies. Tyrannical singing sword, true heritage dark sword. Great solar calamity vanquishing bow, divine steps. My Bodhi testimony divine technique has improved. At this moment, Lin Ling was constantly sensing the changes in his body. Following that, he could not help but be stunned. The Bodhi testimony divine technique had reached the 2nd level. This was the yellow Bodhi's 1,000-armed Guanyin, Guanin's 1,000 hands shaking the universe. In addition to the first level's red Bodhi text, Heavenly Sovereign Shu, 6 paths of myriad movement controlling wind and cloud. This meant that Lin Ling could release 2 strands of the power of God. In addition to the true heritage dark sword's power of God, Lin Ling possessed 3 strands of the power of God. This was a pleasant surprise. Of course, Lin Ling also knew that this sudden change was due to Patriarch Bodhi. Although I can't become his disciple, that senior is still my benefactor. Lin Ling was moved. This was because he knew how difficult it was to produce a strand of the power of God. Otherwise, martial god Qilin would not have held on to the true heritage dark sword. His goal was to obtain that strand of the power of God. Currently, my realm has stabilized. However, the boundary essence of a martial god is truly terrifying. It's more than 10 times stronger than a martial progenitor. Back when I was a martial progenitor, I was able to defeat a martial god because of my endless dantian. Now, to produce a 7th dantian, I'll need even more resources. Lin Ling checked the treasures and found that there weren't many treasures left. In the Battle of Deity Vanquishing, Lin Ling had used all his trump cards to kill martial god Wen Tian. Of course, the price was that he had used all his treasures. Chapter 40:10. Activate the God's Legacy Treasure. Although I've used up all my treasures, I still have the Bodhi Testimony Divine Art. This divine art is constantly increasing my soul force. Now that my soul force has reached 25,000 steps, the Dragon God battle armor is also increasing my Dragon God talent and physical strength. The next time I unlock the Dragon God battle armor, I'll be able to feel the effects. The only thing I lack the most right now is the cultivation resources required for Jia Yuan. Lin Ling muttered to himself. Next, Lin Ling's gaze landed on the divine inheritance treasure. He had reached the martial god realm. This time, he should be able to open the treasure. Immediately, he condensed all the realm essence in his body and drew runes out of thin air. There were a total of 10 types of talismans, and what Lin Ling was currently using was merely the first type. Are you going to open it? Next to him, the giant ghost was also filled with anticipation. This was because he knew that this treasure was prepared to become a god. It could be said that with this inheritance, one would definitely become a god in the future. Bang bang bang. A dull sound came from the void, and then it was opened by Lin Ling. This caused Lin Ling to stare blankly for a moment before he suddenly understood. This divine inheritance was accompanied by the advancement of one's cultivation level. From there, it would unlock a treasure trove until one completely became a deity. When the first treasure trove was opened, 3 items appeared. One was an exquisite box with a crystal shard and a palm-sized butterfly. Only 3 treasures. Beside him, the giant ghost was immediately disappointed. Don't be disappointed, because there are 10 treasures in total. The treasures in the beginning are naturally the weakest. After all, when the deities in the past had just become martial god, they didn't have many treasures. However, Lin Ling did not care and took out the 3 treasures from the void. First, he opened the exquisite box and immediately found 10 thumb-sized sparkling stones lying inside. They looked extremely mysterious. This is? Lin Ling was immediately puzzled. Lin Ling, you've picked up a treasure because this is a godstone. The giant ghost beside him was very knowledgeable and immediately said excitedly. Divine stone. Lin Ling's pupils shrank. He had naturally heard of this treasure before. It was said that it was left behind from the era of gods. During the Great War of the Gods in the past, it was left behind by the gods. Refining it could increase one's own divine power. And 10 pieces. Lin Ling sucked in a breath of cold air. He knew that a single godly stone was priceless, let alone 10. Although the god stone could not be used for cultivation, it would not be difficult to exchange it for cultivation resources. In other words, Lin Ling had enough resources to achieve the second layer martial god realm. Unfortunately, the divine treasures assessment was based on the amount of chi a martial god needed. However, Lin Ling had 6 stanchions. It was clearly not enough for him to break through to the next level. Perhaps the god who left behind the inheritance treasure didn't expect that the person who obtained his treasure would have 6 stanchions. This divine stone can be used to refine and increase my divine power. Lin Ling said with a smile. The attack, defense, and speed brought by divine power were not much weaker than innate talents. However, innate talents were innate, while divine power was cultivated. Those who possessed divine power could use it to fight against those with divine fetus. Divine embryos can also be divided into high, mid, and low, corresponding to high gods, mid gods, and low gods. The divine embryos of low gods can never compare to the divine embryos of mid gods. Thus, when many low gods upgrade their divine embryos, they also cultivate divine energy, using divine energy to make up for the difference between high gods and low gods. The giant ghost said. Lin Ling nodded and suddenly asked, Can you tell what level my lightning element divine fetus is? In the era of gods, there were too many gods with lightning element divine fetus. I can't tell what your lightning element divine fetus is at the moment. However, I estimate that its potential is not weak. It might be a 10th grade divine fetus among lower gods. Since you've just been born, it should only be a 1st grade divine fetus. As for the human sovereign's flame, this is a middle god's divine fetus. It's still at the lower god level, so it's still a 1st grade divine fetus. However, you can continue to refine it and increase its power. The giant ghost said slowly. Lin Ling's eyes suddenly blazed. It seemed that his two divine fetus talents were not weak. Next, Lin Ling picked up the second treasure. It was a crystal fragment the size of his palm. Lin Ling, this divine inheritance treasure is really thoughtful. First, it gives you the cultivation resources you need to break through, then it gives you the comprehension you need to cultivate. This fragment is called God's fragment. It contains the essence of a god's comprehension of martial arts. Those who refine it can greatly improve their martial arts foundation. The giant ghost said. Lin Ling couldn't help but be delighted. Although he had lived 2 lives and had a lot of experience in cultivation, he had obviously surpassed Li Xiaoyao in his previous life. The path of martial arts that awaited him was a path that even Li Xiaoyao had not walked before. He had to explore and create his own path. Therefore, this god's fragment was very important to Lin Ling. I have the cultivation resources and the comprehension of martial arts. What's next? Looking at the last butterfly-like treasure, Lin Ling licked his lips and looked at it from head to toe. This butterfly was purple in color. Lying on Lin Ling's palm, it seemed to be breathing and emitted a mysterious melody. What a pity. Although this divine inheritance treasure has given you a lot, it's only for cultivating ordinary gods. These treasures are far from enough for you, Lin Ling. Because if you become a god, Lin Ling, you won't be an ordinary god. At this time, the giant ghost suddenly said. If the gods of the same realm were divided into 9 grades, then Lin Ling would definitely be a 9th grade existence. For example, when Lin Ling was still a martial ancestor, he was able to kill martial gods because he was a 9th grade existence. Since Lin Ling had stepped into the martial god realm, he was naturally the strongest among those at the same cultivation level. He had relied on his 9th tier confidence. After all, Lin Ling had too many trump cards and resources, especially his 6 dantians. This allowed Lin Ling to have enough boundary essence to execute some powerful techniques. However, everything had its pros and cons. The cultivation resources needed by a 9th grade existence were 10 times or even 100 times more than others. As for the first treasure of the god's heritage treasure, the treasures left for Lin Ling were only what ordinary gods needed for their cultivation. Hopefully, the second treasure would have more treasures. Be content with what you have. If other martial gods possessed these treasures, they would probably need 100 years or even 1,000 years to gather them. However, I've obtained them in a short period of time. I've already saved a lot of cultivation time. Lin Ling said with a smile as he looked at the purple butterfly in his hand. You're quite open-minded. Perhaps because of this open-mindedness, your cultivation path will be smoother than others. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.